Okay, I think we got it. Waiting for. We are live. We're live.
We are live
So,
now.
we're live. So, what's up, everybody? We are live on YouTube. I am making sure that this feed is being shared everywhere so that everyone can be a part of this conversation and take part in what we are trying to do here. We're trying to essentially shed light. We're trying to shed light on everything. So, and when I say everything, I mean the phenomena. To me, it is everything. So hang tight. We're gonna get you on the radio side, Jim, and as soon as we get all your audio is good. As soon as we get Coley on here, we'll have a full conversation. But I want to give people an introduction in case they don't know who you are. So
Okay.
Jim, please, by all means, introduce yourself. Tell everybody a little bit about what you do. Tell everyone a little bit about who you are and why, at least in our opinion, you're the most awesome freaking dude that we know. Come on.
Well, I have to. I can't agree with that, but uh, I'm Jim Goodall. I've been digging up spooky airplanes and things that go bump in the night for over 50 years. Uh, some of my friends that I've known for decades started off. I guess what linked me into this community was my dear friend, the late John Andrews from Testers. And we used to speak like almost every day. He'd call me. This is before the internet, and this is before cell phones. So he picked up the bill from his end when he called. But because of John Andrews, he introduced me to a longtime friend of his named John Lear. John Lear and I go back over 45 years. He passed away here, going on 2 years ago now, or was it last year? We recently lost him. He was, I am In 2015, I didn't think he was going to make it another 6 months, and he surprised me to making it into 2022 or 2023. And because of that friendship with John Lear, I met the infamous and very famous Bob Lazar. And I knew him before he went to work out in the desert. So I have some insight into who he is and what makes him tick. He's an incredibly gracious man, very soft spoken, uh, and I knew him before he went to work out in the desert. The other thing, I am a published author. I have 29 books in print. My area of expertise is stealth, and stealth covers a lot of areas, not just airplanes, but also submarines. So I have books on the nuclear powered fast attack and ballistic missile submarines. I have my probably my shiniest example of what I can do is my 75 years of Lockheed Skunk Works. It's 384 pages, one photo short of 1,300, and I cover 43 programs. There's probably 43 programs I don't know about, but the ones I have, I received accolades from uh, former skunkwork heads like Sherm Mullen. He just passed away, but he said, "My God, Lockheed should have hired you a long time ago to write something like this." And then same with Jack Gordon and Jeff Babion and uh, oh, I'm trying to I can't I'm trying to remember his name, and for whatever reason it's Robert Rice is one of them, and then of course Jeff Babion. He's the one who invited me to the Skunk Works in June of 21 to do a book signing. They had bought a whole pile of my 75 years at the Skunk Works, and I went there to autograph them. And then he gave me a tour of the Skunk Works. I've been at the fence line at Area 51 and Tonopah Test Range 80 plus different occasions. I'm one of the reasons why they took away Whitesides Mountain and Freedom Ridge. Actually, I helped the late Glenn Campbell, not the singer, but the Area 51 Research Center, Glenn Campbell. I helped him when we were looking for a path up to the top of Whitesides, and we found it. So it's just been a lot of fun. I've met some incredibly interesting people. I am blessed to uh, call people like Ben Rich. Ben Rich was my, like, he wasn't a pen pal, but we talked once a quarter for 25 years. And he's the reason why the Minnesota Air Guard Museum had a blackbird for 15 years. Ben called me up in August of 89 and he said, Jim, I have it from the horse's. He was going to say the horse's rear, but he finally said the horse's mouth, that the blackbirds aren't going to make it through Congress. And if anybody could scrounge one, it's you. So I ran over to the guard base. I was with the Minnesota Air Guard at the time. I was the wing historian. And I called the adjutant general from the state of New York, General Paul Weaver. And uh, secretary answered the phone, General Weaver's office. And I said, yes, ma'am, this is Sergeant Goodall with the 133rd. Is the general available? And he said, just a minute, Sarge, I'll put you through. And I have to make a real quick, my wife is calling me, so
Yeah,
I have to
no worries, no
answer.
worries.
I'm on the air. What?
Are we live?
We are live. What's
No.
up, Coley? What's up, Coley?
Hey,
All right. Love you. Bye.
love Jim.
Yeah. She was
Hey,
out
Cole.
with her girlfriend who had a birthday today. She says, what do you need? I'm at the store.
So, hey,
Hey,
sorry about that. Coley, just wanted to give you a heads up. So, in case everybody's jumping on for the first time, we have Jim Goodall. We got Coley with us. We had some technical errors. Listen, this is our very first episode, so you got to understand we had to work out the kinks. We're still working them out, so hang tight. We see people in the chat. Christine, I see you. Lex, we got some old chatters in the chat here. Guys, listen, this is not our permanent residence on the internet. This is just a pregame for the radio show with Jim Goodall. So we're live. We got Jim here. Coley, say what's up to the chat, please, and say what's up to everybody.
Hello, everybody. Hello, chat. It's so awesome to be here. It took me a little bit, but I apologize. Like you said, I said, if this is the worst thing that happens tonight, I can deal with it. We got Jim Goodall here, and what better is that? Great background story.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm delighted. I'm delighted to be here. Like I saw Marquise, there's you got the two of you. If you wanted me on a new program, I would bend over backwards to be on it.
You did, man. Thank you. Thank
But
you.
I do have a commitment later on this evening, so it won't be I won't be on for the entire 3 hours.
All right, man. It's all right.
I'll be here as at least two. So
Thank you.
yeah, a lot to cover. So where was I going? Okay, I was telling people where I came from and who I am. I'm a third generation San Franciscan. Ugh, a terrible taste in my mouth. And my grandfather, James Raymond Goodall Sr., my dad, James Raymond Goodall Jr., and yours truly, James C. Goodall, were all born at Letterman Hospital in San Francisco. But I actually grew up in what is now Silicon Valley. I grew up in Los Altos in the Mountain View area until I had a choice: either shape up and fly right, or join the service, or go to juvenile hall till I was 18 as an incorrigible youth. So on my 17th birthday, I put my hand up and I said, I hereby swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign or domestic. And I spent 5 years active duty in the Air Force. I was a communications specialist. And after the Air Force, I was out 10 years, but I love airplanes. So I needed to get on Air Force bases or military bases. So the quickest way to do that is join the Air Guard or Reserve. You have that little pink ID card. It'll get you on any base. And I'm a pretty good talker, so I could usually talk my way onto any flight line. And over the course of the last 50 years, it's a long time, 60 years, I should say. I've been to 213 Air Force, Air National Guard, or Air Force Reserve bases to photograph. And when I was going through my first end of marriage event, Uh, I had to sell my slide collection. I had about 150,000 original Kodachrome slides of airplanes. So,
Wow.
but my love affair for airplanes, that's what brought me back into the Air Guard. And as the wing historian, I went a lot of places with the wing commander. So when you're with a 1-star or a 2-star general, you get a lot of, you get a lot of things that you wouldn't have if you just go by yourself. And I was in an E9 slot, but I got hit with the Freedom, a peace dividend, and they retired me. I had a total of 27 total years of towards pay for when I retired as a master sergeant. And I had a ball. I would do it again. I don't know. I enjoyed my time in the service. And if it was like it was back then, I would go in a heartbeat. As it is today, I don't know. But I'm very patriotic. And if there was a call for all veterans to arm up because the Chinese are coming or whatever, I would be there.
Wow.
And on January 28th, 1986 was a day that sort of changed my life and changed a lot of other people's lives. Because some of you aren't old enough to recall, but that was the Challenger blew up on takeoff. And on that particular date, I was at Mayo Clinic I was under anesthesia for 11 hours, going through 9.5 hours of brain surgery. And I wasn't supposed to make it. I had less than they said a 2 to 3% chance of surviving the surgery.
Oh my. Jeez.
And that really changes your outlook on a lot of things.
Yeah.
Let's put it this way. I don't care what people think of me. And I felt that way most of my life, but that sort of amplified it to the point where you don't like me? So what? I don't care.
Yeah.
And I really don't. But people I like, I go out of my way for. People I don't like, I'm not going to be cruel or mean. They're just invisible to me. I'll just ignore them. I don't have very many friends. I really don't hang with anybody here in Tucson. I do head up to Sholo every once in a while because my friend Doc Skinner's up there, and I'm doing a lot of things in addition to my writing and just snooping on the government. I'm also a treasure hunter. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Come on now.
April of last year, my buddy Jared Murphy said, "Hey, let's go to Peru, see what we can find there." And just as we're starting to plan it, they had a military coup, and they had, all the historical sites we'd want to go to, like Machu Picchu and such, were all closed. And I didn't want to go someplace where the military is going down the main street of downtown Lima in their armored personnel carriers with a 50 caliber up there looking at people. That was what we would do. So we still wanted to go on an adventure. And Jared said, "Well, I have a gentleman I know that has 7,000 acres in southern Belize. And he knows he has some Mayan rubble piles or whatever on his property. But 7,000 acres is over 10 square miles." So we decided, well, we're going to go to Belize. And we did. We arrived there on the 16th of April of last year. And we didn't know what we were going to do. We just knew that this was an adventure. So there were two pyramid sites that we decided to go see that had already been excavated, and they were Nim Limpuit and Lubatum. Lubatum is where they found the crystal skull.
Wow.
Which was also the premise for
Indiana Jones movies.
Indiana Jones, yeah. his number 4, I guess it was, his
Yeah.
fourth Indiana
Yeah.
Jones. And from and the first day we're there, when we were on in Nimalimput, it's about a mile and a quarter walk over the top of the pyramid complex. Because of my brain surgery, they severed my auditory nerve in my left ear, which means I only have balance in one ear. So I have really poor balance, and I'm very aware of it. So it had been raining, it had been 87 degrees, and you're hot and sweaty, and all of a sudden it's raining cats and dogs, and it's 87 degrees. So now you're just wet. And we were almost done. I'm about 10 feet from being off the pyramid. And there's a set of steps that were built by the Mayans or whoever built the pyramids. They're a little bit uneven. They weren't very deep. So I decided to walk around the steps, and because they could see where people had done the same thing. And I face planted into a pile of rubble
Oh man.
and had a gash underneath my knee and a puncture wound just above my ankle. If you've been shaving and you cut yourself a little bit of blood goes a long way when it's wet. And it's raining now, and a lot of blood. Looks like someone was massacred there.
Oh man. Oh
So it didn't
man.
hurt. It
Yeah.
really didn't hurt. So we get down there, the crew that was in charge of the pyramid complex came in with first aid kit, and they cleaned out and bandaged me up. And then we decided to head back to where we're staying. Just as we go out of the pyramid complex and take a right-hand turn, there's a small little village, and there's a medical clinic there. So he said, stop there. So he stopped in there, and there was a medical doctor. He's from Cuba, was there, and he said, yeah, I can take you. Well, you need stitches, but I have to wait for my nurse to get here. So they called her. It took about 30 minutes for her to get there, and he's sewing me up. He said, well, Mr. Goodall, I said, how old are you? I said, 78. And his mouth just dropped. I said, what do you mean? He said, I have some villagers that are 78, and you look about a third their age.
Wow.
I said, why? If you slow down and you become stagnant, you rust. And when you rust, you die. So I want to be a moving target for the rest of my life. So after I bled a lot on the pyramid, 3 days later, I figured since I gave my blood and DNA to the Mayan gods, that
Oh
they
man.
decided to reward our efforts
This guy
That's funny. I love
sacrificed
it.
blood to the
by
Mayan gods.
sending us to this little village. There's a waterfalls. Couple of the other people there it was 10 of us total, wanted to go see this waterfall, and there's some cave systems there. So that's what we did, and we drive past this. There's a road going up, and small little building, and a real moss-covered sign saying Uchbin Ka Pyramid Complex. But if you look on Google Earth, it says closed. But we decided to turn up. We just turned up there, and then the other people who in the other vehicle turned around. And they came up there as well. Within about 3 or 4 minutes, we had a whole gaggle of kids and moms selling trinkets. And then this short little guy, very happy looking guy, named Alfredo, he's up there, and he has a vote for Alfonso, not Alfredo, but Alfonso.
Mm.
And we started talking to him. It turns out he is the equivalent of the mayor of the village.
Wow.
And he started talking. We just sort of clicked. And it turns out that they had a medical clinic, and all it is a building out of the rain or out of the heat that they haven't been able to get into for 2 years because they had the lock mechanism had broken inside. It didn't make any difference if you had a key. They didn't want to kick the door down because that means they wouldn't have a door. They don't have electricity. They don't have running water. They don't have cell phone coverage. They don't have the internet, nothing. And as we were talking to Alfredo, we ended up meeting the governing council, and they were talking about their pyramid complex that's part of the village. And as we were chatting away, they said that in 1984-85 timeframe, Belize decided that they were going to do a radar scan of the country to identify Mayan ruins and Mayan pyramid complexes. And because the government was going to take control over all the sites in Belize, and they have an organization called NISH. It's the National Institute for Culture and History. And they control all but one site in all of Belize. But that one site happens to be the site of where that one pyramid complex was closed, and we're talking to the mayor. And I asked him, I said, Alfredo, why is it that your village has exclusive authority to determine who can excavate the site? He said, well, in 1985, 84, 85 timeframe, when they did the complete survey, the village of Santa Cruz was not connected to the real world. You had to go through about 4 miles of jungle down a trail to get to a paved road. There was no road in or out of the village. So they decided that in the 80s that we'll give the permission to that village because the likelihood of a road going out in at that particular time wasn't even thought of. So it wasn't until 2012, that's 11 years ago, that they finally, no, 12 years ago, they finally gained access to the real world. But one of the real positive aspects of being in Belize at one time was British Honduras, and the official language is English. So English and Mayan. So if you speak Maya, you speak 1 or 2 dialects, but everybody speaks English. And it was meant to be. Now we went back again. We were there for 2 weeks. We got into their medical clinic. We drilled out the lock and everything else. Gave them a new door. I mean, not a new door, but a new lock and knob assembly. And we've sat down and we broke bread with the governing council. And when we first started talking, all the guys are back 10 feet from the table where Alfredo was. And as we're talking, they're scooting their chairs closer and closer. So we knew we had their attention. And we've gotten the written permission from the Belize government to be the exclusive excavators of the 305-acre complex called Ichbin-Ka. And we went back in November, spent a week there, and it was just finalizing things up. And then this May 1st, I couldn't go because I was taking care of a friend of mine who had a knee replacement. I look at myself as a young 79, and my best friend in the world is an old 81.
Wow.
So I had to go up there and make sure that he was okay, that he got him to the hospital there, got him back, make sure he didn't fall in his apartment. So I couldn't go, but they hired 140 villagers for 14 able-bodied men a day for 10 days. And they were different groups of 14. This way, everybody got some money. When you have nothing, when you're a subsistence farmer and you do a few odd jobs around southern Belize, 20 or 40 bucks Belize is an incredible sum. It's like finding a packet of $100 bills on the sidewalk as you're going to Safeway.
Huh. So I know where I know where my next move is going to be. All right. I want to be a king. I want to be a king. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, yeah. So uh, everything is just clicking into place. So we had the group went down with a cinematographer from Hollywood. I mean, he's
Oh
all
wow.
sorts of awards, and we had a director went there with them. And over the course of 10 days, they completely cleared all the vegetation off of Pyramid B. That was the one they wanted us to clear. And we're going to be going back this fall, and we're going to clear everything off of Pyramid G. Now,
Wow.
pyramids A and B, they've been plundered over the years, but there's still a lot of dirt covering most of the pyramid. The two graves that we were able to identify had been bodies, and whatever was in there had been removed. But this one pyramid, we call it Pyramid G, it's about 3/4 of a mile from the rest of the complex. And it's the tallest of all the pyramids in Mesoamerica, we can gather. Tom Elmore, who's a LiDAR specialist, and he's part of our group, he took some equipment with him, and he started at what we figure was the base. And when he got to the top, he had gone up 261 feet, which would make us the tallest pyramid in Belize. So that's the one we're going to clear next. And the other thing we've done with the village is that we have put together a Old McDonald's, has a farm type of thing. We needed something to keep the vegetation at bay on the pyramid. So we've purchased for them a dozen goats, of which 2/3 of them are pregnant.
Wow.
So they can get 3 or 4 birthings a year. So they're going to have what a lot of goat milk, which they really need for their kids. They can do goat cheese. They have a chocolate festival every year in the village. That's a very large cocoa growing area.
Oh, that's cool.
Pardon?
Chocolate.
No, I said that's cool. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So and they're willing to give us 4 acres on this river that has the 3 waterfalls, so we can build cabanas there for people who want to come and spend some time in the village to go see what we're doing on
Yeah.
the pyramids. And they have 5 huge caves in the area that are part of the village, and couple of them, no non-Belizean or Mayan, anybody from only people from Mayan heritage have been in most of those 5 caves. One of them that our group went through last year, they say that maybe 30 outsiders had been in it in the history of the village.
Wow.
So it's
So
really,
what do you guys think you're gonna find in there?
That's what I
Like what
want to know.
treasures or yeah,
Well,
me
well,
too. What's in these caves?
well,
Because
Bob Lazar's UFO, his sports model that he worked on, was recovered from an ancient archaeological site. The other thing that's really interesting about the pyramids in Belize and really everywhere is the academia.
Yeah. Hey Jim, give me 1 second.
The arch-
Jim, 1 second. We gotta we gotta end the call and call right back because I did not pay for the subscription for Zoom. So they give you
oh,
40 minutes. It's just gonna be on and off 2 seconds. I'm gonna send you another link. Hit the link.
okay.
We'll be back on in a second, guys. Hang tight. Yeah, everybody, just in case you're wondering, we are still live. Just hang tight. Zoom only gives you a 40-minute time period to do these things. So I gotta do this whole thing all over again. No big deal. I'm gonna send a new invite out to Jim. I'm gonna send a new invite out to Coley, and then we'll be back in in literally just like a minute, maybe 1 minute or so. 1 second here. It wasn't supposed to be like this, ladies and gentlemen. It wasn't. It was not supposed to be like this. But that's okay because we're gonna fix all these kinks here in a second. But yeah, listen, I want to give a shout out to everybody who all of you who have been following me and Coley for I don't know years now. Thank you. We love you. It's good to see you all in the chat. I see y'all in the chat, by the way. I see all of you in the chat. So, man, it's great to see all of you after so long. It's good to see how many people have actually followed us after so long. So, yeah, hang tight. We got Jim Goodall here, y'all. And after we're done talking to Jim, we're going to be going on to Helix Rock Radio. So just hang tight. Don't go anywhere because we got a lot more to talk about afterwards. We're just getting this conversation started with Jim Goodall. Everybody knows who Jim Goodall is. Jim's my guy. Jim's all our guy. He's such a cool dude, man. He was recently on Darcy Ware's new documentary. And man, Darcy talks about him, and Darcy says some pretty interesting stuff. Jim is just so well known. Everybody knows Jim. Everybody knows him. So hang tight. And don't forget that after, and I'm going to say it again, after this, we're going to be on the Rock Radio, the Helix Rock Radio .live. You can download the app in the App Store on iPhone. You can also download the app in the Play Store if you have an Android phone. So just do that if you can. If that doesn't work out for you, hit up the website, rockradio.live. What's up, Holly? Scott Rosen, my guy. We got Midwest Night Watcher. It's so good to see you, man. So good to see you guys. Chiro Sounds, what's up? I remember, listen, all of you, John P. Adventures, don't think I forgot about y'all. Christine, of course. Christine, Lex. You guys follow me on Twitch. I remember that too. The Twitch days. Oh, the good old Twitch days. Those were some fun days. Jim, welcome back. Sorry
Yeah.
about that. Sorry about that. So,
Oh,
well,
that happens. Don't worry about it.
yeah, we had to do that real quick just because I had to do this on the fly and make the change on the fly. And
Uh,
with Zoom, they give you 40 minutes to do, these calls without paying for the subscription. I was going to use Skype, which we didn't. We had to, set off the technical issues with Skype, which we got that figured out. So after this convo, we're going to hit up that Rock Radio Live. But yeah, we're good. So anyway, as you were, so I wanted to say something real quick. I remember listening to like Bob Lazar talk about this, and I think it was on Joe Rogan, where he was talking about how, there was this object or potentially a craft that was found, and he said it wasn't just old, it was ancient, from what I remember
yes.
his words.
And
So
that's the sport. That's his sports model.
the sports, wow. So that's man, you got to listen, man. That's interesting. So hit us up with some, what you think you might find something like that too at this place, at this location.
But the other thing is the crystal skull that was found.
Yeah.
As the crow flies, like I said a little bit ago, it's only about 15 miles away as the crow flies. It's longer by road.
Mm.
Uh, and what does that tell me? And they said, well, it was just laying on the ground. Maybe it was some pillagers that fell out of their backpack or
Yeah.
whatever it is, or it was too heavy. They said, well, it's just a bunch of glass and just leave it. And off they went. Uh, we don't know what we're going to find. There's been reports, even in Egypt, that they've through ground penetrating radar, they have found passageways and large rooms 40 to 70 feet below the base of the Great Pyramid in Giza.
Wow.
And there's also speculation on at least one of the Mayan sites in Mexico. Now, the Mayan area went from just south of Mexico City to the northern part of Colombia. And they figure at their peak population, it was between 10 and 20 million Mayans.
Oof. What in the world? That doesn't make sense. That's a massive population. I thought they didn't have, at least in that area, they didn't have populations that large. They claim they weren't civilized
There's a
enough.
lot of things that they
Yeah.
weren't supposed to have. And
Yeah.
when Nicaragua did a LiDAR scan of an area just south of one of their big pyramids,
Yeah.
they were looking for roads. That's all they were looking for.
Mm.
But it's 800 square miles, which is not a very big area of a country. But what they came up with is that they were able, the LiDAR scan of this dense jungle that there's nothing there.
Mm.
there's 60,000 structures.
Oh my goodness.
So
Yeah,
I asked,
there's more going
I
on
asked
there.
the Belizean archaeologists that man the sites that are open to the public, and they said, now we've reevaluated the age of the pyramids. They're at least 2,000 years old, but we figure now that they're anywhere between 20,000 and 200,000 years old.
Oof.
And the Mayans found them abandoned and repurposed them for their own use.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
So that means that there was something else even before them. That's the thing. That's even more bizarre, at least in my opinion.
And we did a LiDAR scan of pyramids A and B there at Santa Cruz, and it looks through vegetation. It doesn't look through dirt or anything solid, but it looks through vegetation. But we got a very good view of what's behind the vegetation, and in 10 days, 140 able-bodied men from the village cleared off all vegetation off of Pyramid B, which is unbelievable. And right now they're in a drought. It's been very, very hot and very, very dry. And this huge pile of vegetation that they took down the hill, it caught on fire.
Oof.
I mean, the organic material breaking down got so hot that it started burning, and they're having fires all over Belize, and Agua, same thing. Same with Honduras.
This is recent. This
there
is
she
something.
is.
Coley,
You're there. Can you hear us?
I see. We see you. We see you.
Yeah, we see you.
She's loading in. She's loading in.
Okay.
We got
Okay.
you. We got you though, Coley. We got you.
Yeah.
We're in.
Yeah. So, I asked the archaeologists, a couple of them. I said, what happened to the 10 to 20 million Mayans that lived in the area? And he said, well, a number of things happened. First of all was the introduction of European pathogens, common cold, the flu, all sorts, stuff that they had absolutely no immunity for it, and that killed a lot of people. The other thing is they were very poor farmers. They used the fields that they tilled to the point where the ground became sterile, and they referred to a good part of Central America as a green desert. The only thing that will really grow there without adding, fertilizer and other stuff to make the ground viable again. The yield started getting smaller and smaller, so the Mayans started dispersing to better places to grow crops. And the other thing, and if you've seen the movie, it was Apocalypto, I think it is.
Apocalypto was freaking awesome, by the way. In case anybody doesn't know, you all know I'm a movie buff. Apocalypto was like this ancient, this like prehistoric, civil tribe, and there was a lot of things going on. It was that was the Mayans. Wait, that was well, I'm talking about something else. I'm thinking about 10,000 BC. You're right. Apocalypto was about the Mayans. It was also awesome. Very similar movies. I got it mixed up. You know what? So much for the movie buff guy.
Yeah. But the Mayans were so vicious.
It was bad. That was really bad. Yeah, that was. Really bad.
If your neighbor, if you dissed your neighbor, or you killed one of their goats or whatever, with your I don't even know what you didn't have a chariot. I don't know how you killed someone's goat by accident. But if they're vendetta, they would not only kill you, but everybody you're related to.
My goodness.
Wow.
Yeah.
They're brutal.
Yeah. Oh, they were. They're incredibly brutal. And the other thing on one, and this is documented, and I'm not sure what, I think it was in southern Mexico versus Nicaragua, but they had a celebration of something. I don't know what it was for, but over a very short period of time, I'm talking about weeks, not months, they sacrificed over 80,000 prisoners.
Oh no.
Wow.
Yeah, jeez, man.
I mean,
Unbelievable.
have a heart.
Oh no.
Okay. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So uh, that's where the population decline came in, and the locals are just as nice as can be, because most of them don't have anything.
Yeah.
And when you don't have anything, the only thing you have to give is your friendship and a smile.
Mm.
And they're just
Aw.
and the villagers are just absolutely love what we're doing for their village. You know, we're putting together. We hope to have a link to Elon Musk's his foundation, and that's, you know, he has that set aside to put to help develop countries develop infrastructure like water.
Yeah.
I mean, and the one thing we want to do, we're going to be doing. We hope to have a blow you away 2-minute video of what we want to do as far as a series
Awesome.
on the excavation of Uchbin Ka. And
That's gonna be awesome, man. That's gonna be
we
awesome.
have a
Yeah.
we have an award-winning Hollywood cinematographer has already been down there. He was down there this last May with a director, and they put together some absolutely incredible stuff. And as soon as that puff piece is done, and it'll be a presentation piece, we're going to present it to Netflix, Prime, Discovery Channel. The talking, you know, the people in the entertainment industry in Southern California are just chomping at the bit on this. They can hardly wait to see what we have. This will be like the Curse of Oak Island times 20,000 or 200,000 years. I mean, that's what's so amazing about this whole thing. And once we start removing the overburden, that's where we're gonna start finding things. And things that they threw away, things that were junk to the Mayans will be like having
Treasure.
a handful of diamonds. Oh, these are just sparklies, you know. We don't need those.
It
We
would
don't
be
know what we're gonna find. Now, all of the treasure belongs to the country of Belize.
yeah, of course, of
The
course.
the village elders can determine if they want to sell any artifact.
Mm.
But we're going to try to put it together, depending on what we find, a lending. But we're going to have artifacts that will be lent out to other museums at a price. But what we want to do with the documentary, 30% of the net dollars of the documentary series is going to go to the village, primarily to pay for the kids' schooling.
Wow.
Oh,
Right
wow.
now,
Respect,
right
man.
now,
Respect.
now these are also subsistence farmers. They don't have jobs. They don't have any income at all other than what they make every once in a while. And everything they eat or drink, they produce, you know, right there. But my mind just had a brain fart. And that happens when you get old. There's so many things up there that then you say squirrel, you lose track of what you're talking about. But
I do that anyway, so don't worry
Yeah.
about that. Yeah.
but each family per kid have to pay $700 a year, which is the equivalent of Chloe, you having to you having to spend $7,000 a year to send your son to high school.
Wow.
Mhm.
Ooh,
And it's
that's
almost
not right. That
unattainable.
sucks.
So
Yeah.
Alfredo, the mayor, he has 8 children, but only the eldest boy goes to school. And what we
Oh,
want to
wow.
do, we want to be able to have it so every kid from K through 12 has the opportunity to go to school.
That's awesome, man.
That's
You're
amazing.
changing lives. You're changing lives. You're literally advancing an entire culture, entire people.
We don't want. I mean, they have. Yeah, you wonder why they have so many kids. Well, there's no electricity, there's no TV, there's no internet, there's no movies.
Yeah. Did you see the
Uh,
article? Did you see the article where they you know talk, they said like, oh man, I vaguely saw this, but apparently there was news about how they put, I think it was Starlink, in like this indigenous or very
oh,
remote,
in the Amazon.
and then they
Yeah,
all got addicted to
yeah,
What?
they got addicted to pornography.
yeah.
Oh
And they
my God.
Oh
Now you'll
no.
have to put a ban on
Don't do
that.
that, Jim. Don't do that, okay? No
yeah,
Starlink and where the mines were, please. Don't do
yeah.
that.
There'll be porno shops on every corner.
Oh
The
No,
reason
I'm
no.
the reason
joking.
why the reason why every family has 8 to 10 kids. What do you do when it gets dark?
There'll be less kids because there'll be
Yeah,
You sleep, Jim. You sleep when it's dark.
be
yeah,
stunned population growth, man. Don't do that.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
yeah. So
Oh no.
we don't want to drag them into the 21st century, but
Yeah.
we want to make life healthier for the villagers.
Right. Right. What you're doing? I
And
mean, you're
It was
doing it right now.
healthy until, yeah.
yeah,
We always said to limit that TV, but yeah, I get what you're saying. They
Oh
need
no.
something to do.
Oh no.
yeah, yeah. So well, they do. I mean,
I mean, they go from
There'll be
watching.
divorce rate is going to go through the rooftop.
what I
Why
don't I
can't you
don't
do
think
this, huh? Why can't you do?
I don't think they have marriage as
It's
you
a
and I know
custom.
it.
It's like more like
Oh,
it's
okay.
a union by essentially the act of being with a person physically. But yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like the interesting thing to me, and I'm always frustrated by stories like that because I believe in technology. I think that technology is literally the way to push civilization forward. I mean, it obviously is. We went from, witch doctors telling people to do crazy things to cure diseases to understanding what pathogens and
You're talking about Fauci now, right?
oh my God. I don't
Yeah,
really
right.
so I don't particularly care about the YouTube channel because it's not
Oh,
really that I'm not monetized here or anything like that. But let's just say, I watched the movie Contagion to literally just today, ironically. And if you haven't seen that movie, it is full of it's like they predicted COVID-19 in a
well,
movie.
They did. It
that,
was
that
by
was
design.
now.
Yeah.
Now is that the one with Dustin Hoffman?
It's got
No, that was
crap.
out. That was out. That was Outbreak.
No, this one is with Matt Damon, and
Okay.
in this one there's like essentially there's a lot of things going on with the CDC in the world, the WHO, where they see the disease, they see that they're predicting based off of some kind of formula that based off of previous diseases that didn't have cures for them, and even some that did, like smallpox and so forth. They're saying, look at the exponential growth by these diseases, and this one without a cure is even greater than that. So without a cure as well, and we don't know where it came from. Well, ultimately, and listen, it's just a movie. Don't you dare take my position on this statement. But it was started in, I believe, Hong Kong or China, somewhere in China, and it started because a bat ate something. Uh, Somehow a pig got involved, into the mix, and the disease biologically attached to the pig, and then they killed the pig and fed it to people at a Chinese market, and then it just spread everywhere, and the growth was exponential. Now, the key to this movie is that there was that some commentators who were saying, "Oh, take this medicine; it'll make you better." It wasn't. Then there was the people at WHO there were some scandals going on in the WHO where they were warning people on the inside and not. It was literally like they predicted because
It was a documentary of
it
the
was a
last
it, it
four
was
years.
a
Yes.
documentary.
Yes.
It was
Did you ever
chaos.
see the Project Runway. Well, I'm just saying that if you go look at the Wuhan lab, this would be my last comment. It's in English. Like that should everything else. It's not like the whole area is, but that right there is in English.
Listen, I have a more balanced position about the COVID-19 for obvious reasons because my position is that I feel like on the one hand, this is why I say balance. On the one hand, there was a miscommunication by obviously by medical experts who, especially when it comes to masks. On the other hand, you had people that were literally promoting vaccines that weren't tested and that ultimately proved to be not effective, while simultaneously, spreading the idea that because there was this miscommunication by certain individuals I'm not going to name, that it was all fake. Well, and that it was planned, but also my position is that I don't know about planned. I think that's a little too conspiratorial. But did it come from the Wuhan lab? Well, they're literally creating diseases at the Wuhan lab, but they're doing it in order to fight those diseases. So there's so many, like, how can you tell what's what?
Have you heard
I
of
don't
gain
know.
of function
Gain of
research?
function, which they have to. So in the movie, they did this. They were making diseases, variants of diseases, because in order for you to be able to create a cure for them, you have to make a lot of them. And in order for so that you could actually test it and make a vaccine, find out what a vaccine
What
will
if they
work with it.
cause a disease?
They were talking about that, how the one WHO guy said we don't want this escaping on the bottom of someone's shoe who forgot to, like it's a documentary, Jimmy. Literally, watch the documentary, watch the movie Contagion, make up your own mind. I don't have a conspiratorial perspective per se, but there are plenty of questions I got. There are plenty of
You know
questions.
what bothers me, and this is going to NASA,
Yeah.
is they want to bring back samples to Earth from Mars.
That I don't know. Haven't you seen that movie where the guys go to outer space and they bring it back and then this chick ends up, becoming an alien chick and she goes and has all these interactions with men to have babies and listen, man, don't
Well,
do it.
there was a movie, I think it came out 2 or 3 years ago.
Alien?
It's called Live, where astronauts went to Mars. They gathered all sorts of stuff. They're coming back.
Species.
And no, it's called Live.
No, sorry. The movie that I'm referring to is called Species. There's
Yeah, I've
like
seen that one.
four of them or whatever, and it's about
Yeah,
this female predator alien who gets
and
brought
good
back
looking
here
though.
on
She's good
a hot
looking though.
chick, hot chick.
Yeah.
She's brought back into, and then she starts infecting the world. Don't do it, NASA, and stop sending news of us to alien species out there. Please stop doing that. Don't do that. It's weird.
What?
NASA, cut
Well,
it off.
in
What? What?
accordance to Rick Doty, there's some down here already, and there's a translator. What do you think, Jim? What do you think of all this?
What was that?
What do you think
Well,
of all this? Like, how much of this is real? And but I like in my experience, what they said. I asked, why is there a barrier? They said because of contamination. Now that right there makes me think, like, have you heard anything like that? Or
I mean,
with,
yeah,
I mean, that's a huge concern.
when the astronauts first got back to Earth, they were in quarantine for 2 weeks. We didn't know what they were going to bring back. We still don't know what they may have brought back that is still percolating in some lab somewhere. And all of a sudden, it made it. If we get hit by a solar storm, they get a certain amount of electrical charge on them.
yeah.
Maybe that'd be like paddles on a ADM, your
Yeah.
defibrillator,
Yes.
and that could strike, cause them to all of a sudden become alive. There's just it's suicide. It's suicide to bring any organic material from outer space that's not part of this Earth to begin with,
Right.
and bring them in, and to see, well, let's see what makes them tick.
Can I ask you a question, Jim? While you're there, this is my question. How do they make it through the Van Allen belt? Like, do you think that they're literally like taking? Because I just have a problem with this, like the way that they're telling us they're getting there to space. Like, I don't know, the conventional way. Like, it's like you're a pilot. I'm a pilot. When you go up in an airplane, they say you can't see stars because of light pollution, but you can see them down here with
Well,
all the
hold
streetlights.
on,
I'm
hold
just
on.
saying, how much of
Coley,
this, like,
real
do you
quick,
think?
Coley, before you, because you're tapping into
Oh,
something that's actually a good question. I wanted to bring this up anyway. Just yesterday, it was all over the news where Harvard was working with a national science institute about a study where they said they were speculating now that, and this is after Nick Pope comes out and talks about the potential for aliens living underground, and they could be dinosaurs that evolved and they escaped the the surface of the earth because there was some cataclysms. Now Harvard comes out with a study in conjunction with a science institute or whatever it was about the potential for alien life here, aliens walking among us, aliens living underground that could be dinosaurs that evolved to be intelligent. Guys, this is look it up. If you haven't heard about this, look it up. So this ties into what you're saying, Coley. What do you think about all that? Because that's all connected to what Coley's talking about.
Yeah. Um, I honestly believe my daughter, who's adopted, she's from Korea. I honestly believe my daughter is an alien.
Really, biologically.
She she doesn't think like anybody I have ever met in my
Jim,
life.
have you ever talked about this before?
no, this is interesting. Keep going, Jeff.
No, I mentioned it and said my daughter's an alien. I
Wow,
mean,
wow,
No. Well,
guys,
how does she
guys.
think? Like, give me an example. This is like a first.
okay,
Yeah.
she's well. First of all, she's blind as a bat. We finally got her Coke bottle glasses when she was about 18 months. She's 2 years old.
Now?
We have
Are you
no.
going back to
This
the story? Okay. I
she's gonna
got
be 40 next month. But she's 2 years old. We have some friends over, and Patty Montreal said something. I said, "Oh, bullshit." Alicia gets out of her chair. She comes up to me, said, "Daddy, you can't say bullshit." I said, "Alicia, you can't say that." She goes, "Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit." And then she goes, sits down.
Wow.
I said, "I tell you what, I'll make a deal with you. If you don't say that word again, I won't." Okay. She never has.
Wow. Wow.
About about a month and a half later, Saturday morning, I'm reading the paper, drinking my coffee. She's at the other end of the kitchen table. She's drawing or doing something. I get up to go get another cup of coffee, and I hear my newspaper go on the floor. And she's a little peanut. They never thought she'd be more than about 4'6", and she ended up to be 5'3". So she's a giant as far as we were
Yeah.
concerned. But again, she's 2 years old. She comes up to me. She pushes my paper on the floor. I said, "Licia, you have to pick that up. You threw Daddy's paper on the floor." She goes like this: "I'm not going to, and you can't make me." Very gently, I reached behind her, put my hands on her wrists. I picked the paper up. I put it on the table. I said, "There, you did it." And she says, "Yes, but not willingly."
Wow.
This is a 2-year-old.
Wow. No way. No
Yeah.
way.
When she went to the alternative high school because she's punishing her mother, and she gets a D minus minus in Spanish. I said, "Why don't you just give her an F?" So I went to this. This is back in Minnesota. I was living in Seattle at the time. I went back, meet with her Spanish teacher. I said, "Why didn't you just give her an F?" He said, "I couldn't." I said, "Why is that?" "Well, she doesn't turn any homework in." I said, "Well, it takes after her father." Uh, I said, "But she's in a trigonometry class and she's teaching two boys from Honduras who don't speak a word in English. She's translating what the math teacher is telling them, and then she's instructing the boys on what to do. They're speaking to her in Spanish. She's the interpreter. She asked the teacher the question. She said, she knows the language. She can speak it. She has a photographic memory.
Mm.
And that makes it even spookier.
Wow. Wow.
So,
So what did you notice? Did she have any like extra ability? Like what makes you so certain? Like when you said that, I'm taking you seriously. Like, do you really think that she's an alien? Because I was kind of like her as a kid. What else? What else? Like
I honestly believe that she is an alien.
Wow.
Doesn't mean I don't love her with all my heart.
Yeah.
Well, no.
She's the most different person, personality-wise, I've ever met. I've met a lot of crazy ass people in my life too. So and it wouldn't surprise me if one of these days, all right, Dad, pulls off. She's a lizard person or something.
Wow.
Are you serious? Yeah.
So yeah, it's crazy to me because the last week I've been hearing about, and this is from like credible people. I mean, credible in my opinion. Obviously, I follow a lot of people. Gary Nolan has talked a little bit about this recently on a couple of live shows. Or I'm not sure they were live, but they were recordings I watched on YouTube, where he talked about, the possibility of aliens walking among us, I believe. Now, giving Nick Pope had that talk, and he talked about how they could be walking among us, and the idea that the reason why there's this idea that they won't tell us all at one time for many reasons. He gave up quite a few reasons as to why that is. But a couple of the really interesting ones is, how would you react, the regular American? I mean, think about this. Listen, I don't want to we talk about political. We talked about that before. You're not going to be able to guess my position. Don't try. Just don't do it. How would people feel if they don't even like Mexicans living in their town? How are they going to feel about aliens living next to them, right? They don't like.
We're being camps and taking money for coming across.
Like, well, wait a minute. Are you telling me these aliens got health care? What's going on?
That's not the only reason.
Okay. What about me? Like, there's a lot. I got neighbors who don't like my black self. Like, they don't like me but they're nice to me. Will they be nice to an alien?
But I got some that really don't like me either.
You get what I'm saying? Like, I don't think it's going to turn out that well. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be well.
Okay, but this is what I think, though. I look at it from a different perspective, because go back, I like Richard Van Steenberg and I, who had the Hetlau movement, which is humanoids, extraterrestrials live among us, HETLAU. Wow. And so I thought, but I spent many years learning this language with them, and we started identifying, and then we looked at it like, okay, this is the ET architecture. So if you look at it, it's kind of like the Matrix. Like, what if they pre-built it and we're assuming like, oh, they're just hanging out, living in the neighborhood? But no, they're like the NSA or something. They're walking like what's his name? So they walk Dean. They walk up and down the Pentagon halls. What if they're in control, like the negative ones or the malevolent ones? What do you think, Jim? Do you think that? I think that they look just like us. I think we see a lot of it with like them glitching out.
What's to say that the Earth, the population of the Earth was wiped out because of a massive
a cataclysm, an extinction event.
A corona mass ejection that literally fried most everything on this planet.
Right.
So the aliens that were here in the very beginning, maybe 200,000 years ago or a million years ago, they said, okay, we have to repopulate the Earth, and they've probably done it 2 or 3 different times, and they may have to do it again if we don't watch our step.
Oh, we're done. We're done for. There's nothing we can do.
Yeah.
I think, and again, it's only a theory, but it wouldn't surprise me if the 3 of us on this screen right here, where our genetic history goes back to some other place in the universe.
Really?
Yeah.
Not a crypt. Sorry, Chloe, go ahead.
No, I mean,
what do you think about blood types? Like strange. I have a really rare blood type. Is why I asked. So I just like think stuff like that.
Why do almost all mammals have 29 chromosomes, and we only have humans only have 28? There's a chromosome that's missing.
So they took one from us.
Yeah, but an extra chromosome can make you, give you disabilities.
Yeah, no, you're right. I didn't think about it like that.
No.
They straightened us out. I'm glad that Marquis said that
I love
one.
this guy. He's great. It's so funny that you would bring
Oh,
this up because again, there was this other thing like this has been talked about for years, for a few years now. The idea that crypto terrestrial, right? This is a word that I've learned about a couple years ago. The idea that there was a civilization that lived before us, think Atlantis, right? Or as Nick Pope has suggested in the Harvard study suggested, that it was a dinosaurs evolved to be humanoid, so to speak, or technologically advanced, and they were like, hey, listen, every 10,000 years or so, there's a cataclysmic event that wipes out the surface, the people on the planet. And guess what? We're approaching that cataclysmic event again, and the reason they don't want
There,
to tell us is because they know it's coming.
there are two events that are in the process as we speak,
The
and
Earth,
that's the shifting of the poles
right?
on Earth.
yes.
Magnetosphere.
For 150 years up until about 25 years ago, it would move a quarter an inch a year, a little
Yeah,
bit.
now they're moving quicker.
It, since 2001, it has moved 175 miles and it's accelerating its movement. Now, utilizing core samples, they were able to say that approximately every 12,000 years, the poles shift.
Yep, which causes a
We don't know what the ramifications of the poles shifting geologically. And it also happens, I just read it earlier today, in a science article, is the poles on the sun are starting to
right. I
shift.
literally was just this is so crazy. So there were, the increase in solar flares, right? There that are also happening. I think next year is supposed to be one of the worst years that solar flare could wipe out our entire, all the satellites could be shut down or possibly wiped out.
In 1859, they had the Carrington event,
Yeah, yeah,
and that's when the Earth got hit by a very large corona mass ejection, CME. It it threw so much energy at the Earth that the northern lights were visible as far south as Mexico City.
oh no.
Teletype, they didn't have phones. They had
Oh,
not teletype. They had
telegrams.
telegraph. Telegraph lines. They caught on fire.
Yeah,
They actually burnt
Wow.
telephone poles down. They were the all communications via tele via being my mind just went nuts.
whatever
Uh,
kind of electronic devices that we have now, which we have a lot of them. There are the billions of electronic devices, billions of them, which by the
trillions,
trillions, which
trillions.
there are more now. There are going to be more because they're building these new infrastructures with more connected devices. Which I don't know if
And
I want to put these things on my head anymore after hearing this.
if we
Well, look at
we
the
get it,
Samsung phones going up in flames. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know.
yeah,
It's
if
definitely.
we get hit with the same intensity that happened in 1859,
Oh, wow.
the only people that won't know it are the Mennonites, the Quakers, and the Amish. The rest of us are going to starve to death.
Oh crap. Yeah.
Anything that runs on ones and zeros will be rendered useless, which means even if you had a 1940 Ford, you couldn't go get gas unless you wanted to hand pump it because none of the pumps would work because they're all running on electricity.
Mm-hmm.
And the controllers that turn the pumps on and off are run by integrated circuits that have ones and zeros in them. We get hit with a CME, everything goes to zero, literally. And they figure if that
So, like
happens,
a magnetic pulse is what you're saying.
yeah, it's a electromagnetic pulse, EMP, uh, and that unless all your electronics are nuclear hardened, which they're not, they're
Right?
all going to be rendered useless. They may look pretty in your living room, but you won't have electricity. That relies on
And
computers.
Yeah.
the radiation from it,
I mean,
it's going to kill off 80%.
discounting that part. I mean, it'd be a lot of people who are sort of iffy on their health wise if they get hit with a CME
They'd
that
be
they
in
could
their body.
they
Yeah.
But they may be the lucky ones, and we don't have a solution for that.
Meaning they'll die quicker, right? You mean they'll be dead before they have to live
Or what
through.
a cure
Yeah, I
that they
mean
had.
it's going to be. I don't know. I'm 79, and if the world would come to end tomorrow, the only thing I would uh, be concerned about are my kids and my grandkids.
I'm not
What
afraid.
about
I mean,
us,
I'm
Jim?
not afraid to die.
What about us?
Yeah, what's up, Jim? I'm not
Are
afraid to
you
die.
worried about me?
I've
No.
come to, I've come to peace. I've come to peace about the fact that we all have to die, including my children. And
Oh,
as difficult as it would be to see, to know that there would be an impending doom upon us all. I'm not really worried about this life. I'm more
Yeah,
concerned about what happens next because I
we
don't
got
think it's
less than
all over.
yes.
we
And
got
then we
less
get
than
to start it all over again.
we got
Hopefully,
less than a
Yeah.
minute. Yeah,
we got less than a minute too. This is hold on. Are you going to be going, Jim, or
I'll give another half hour.
okay?
Oh,
I'm
yay.
gonna call you guys right. I'll send a new link. So hang tight.
Okay.
That'll be just a second.
Perfect.
All right. Everybody, listen. Hang tight. This is wild. I am super excited that this happened here tonight. Jim Goodall talking about. Listen, I never thought I'd have this conversation. To be totally honest, in a long time, let alone with Jim Goodall on the very first time I'm coming back to doing this whole thing all over again. So hang tight, everybody. We're gonna do another stream with Jim Goodall. So hang tight, hang tight. Let's see here. I gotta send the link back to Coley and Jim. Takes me just a second, everyone. So hang tight. This is great. This is awesome. I'm extremely excited about this. And Jim said he'd give us another half an hour, so this is again, this is a blessing. I can't tell you guys how happy I am about this. I know you guys are all excited about it. I know that's been I know those who've been following me have kind of like, hey man, what are you doing? What's going on? Are you gonna be back? I'm back, and I'll explain a little bit more about why I'm doing things the way that I am now versus how I was. I'll explain a little bit more about that after we get done talking to Jim, because I really we gotta get this convo going. I don't want to miss out on this. So started a new stream here, so we'll wait for Jim to hop on. Jim, waiting for my guy, Coley. They'll be back in a second. Wow, I can't believe it. Look at this. Now listen, I'm not a what a comeback, right? What a comeback. Like I couldn't have gotten any luckier. I could not have gotten any luckier. Or blessed, whatever your preference. I'm just glad to be back. I'm glad to be able to have these conversations again. It's been so long since I've had these conversations. Feels like it. I will say my, my life is quite hectic. I have a lot of guys. I have a big family. I told you guys this. You all know this. Those of you who don't know, I've got a big family. It's not easy for me to keep up with a lot of the content that I was producing before, especially given that there's I do have Scott. Scott, my guy. Don't think that I want to give a special shout out to Scott Rosen because Scott has been supporting me in every way. He's been a personal friend. He's been following me on all the socials. He's been keeping me up to date on a lot of different things, so much so I can barely keep up with him. And he's also been supporting me with Patreon. So I just want to say special thanks to Scott. Scott, really, really, really appreciate you. Polly, don't think I haven't. You as well. Polly's also been a big supporter of me, following me. But Polly is, I mean, this Polly is something special because Polly's been helping on the back end as well. Not just me, but other people on the web who are producing content. Jim, we got you back. We got you back, Jim. We got you back too, Coley. We're all back.
Where was I? We were talking.
We were talking about cataclysms,
Yeah,
the shift in the magnetosphere, and you know,
we don't know what's geologically. They don't know what happens to the Earth when the poles shift, and they don't know if it's going to take a year, if it's going to take 10 years, or if it's going to take a day.
yeah,
With the poles shifting, that dramatically, it's going to affect the geological health of this planet we call Earth.
So do you think that's why they're coming out with the fake suns? Like, I know like North Korea has one, China has one. I mean, they're
I don't
literally
know.
producing like fusion suns. I didn't know if that's because the sun's poles are flipping also.
No, I mean, we don't. One of the biggest fears is it's going to set off every volcano and it's going to let loose every
natural disaster.
That's why I live in Iowa.
Zone. A good example, the University of Washington had a article out.
The day after tomorrow, where they talked about they literally referenced the day after tomorrow as a potential for what could happen to the freaking guys. Listen, I don't want to be doom and gloom, but this is terrifying. It could happen. I mean,
what has happened every 250 years, almost like clockwork, the Cascadia subduction zone, where you have the North American plate and the Pacific plate is going under the North American plate. And what happens every 250 years, this thing pops up. It's 100 years overdue. Are you taking all your clothes off? You don't have to do that.
I got a little hot here, too.
The Mayans got
You're very observant. Yeah.
The Mayans
We're
got
going to have a show. I mean, my gosh.
Colton, save it for the after show. My God.
Yeah.
So what the volcanologists and the geologists are saying at the University of Washington in Seattle, if the Cascadia subduction zone rips the entire 800 miles from Vancouver, north of Vancouver Island, down to about Eureka or Crescent City in Northern California, it will be a 10 plus on the Richter scale for over 10 minutes.
Oh, man.
With vertical movements in excess of 35 to 45 feet.
Oof.
It's like Nostradamus.
I'm not talking about
right
side
here.
to side. I'm just talking about up and down.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And that's 45 feet up and then 45 feet down.
Where there would be
a 90-foot difference. Anything that's on fill will liquefy, which means half of the San Francisco Bay Area would be affected. If Foster City, for example, Milpitas, Alviso, they're all on fill. It's going to liquefy, and you're going to see the whole city just dissolve and disappear in front of you.
Oh, man.
But one of the biggest concerns with if the Cascadia subduction zone goes, and this is again from the University of Washington, the geology department, where they said that if it goes the entire way, and if it is a 10 on the Richter scale, it will probably set off all of the volcanoes as well, that there'll be nothing left, anything left west of I-5.
I've heard that.
In other words, Seattle, Portland, all the way down to San Francisco may just disappear because the tsunami will be anywhere between 1,500 and 3,000 feet.
Wow.
The other thing they're not taking consideration, and the shifting of the poles may affect it. The big island of Hawaii, Kilauea, when they erupted here a couple of years ago, they kept referring to it as to the rift, the walls of volcanic, molten rock and everything else is coming up through what they call the rift. Well, that rift is a crack in the island of Hawaii, the big island.
Oh, they're gone too. Yeah.
And
Jeez.
it's been widening. He said they used to be able to drive around the rim of Kilauea. Now you can't because it's very active, and the sulfur dioxide and everything else, it'll poison you. It'll make you sick. It could even kill you. But they said it's moving so much that you don't need a laser to measure the movement. You need a Stanley tape measure. Check it this week.
Oh,
okay.
wow.
It's 6 inches. Come back a month later. Oh, now it's 7 inches. They say if it goes off in little bits and pieces, it'll be catastrophic to a level, but not like catastrophic. What they're saying, if it goes all at once, it's 60 cubic miles of the big island is going to fall down to 17,000 feet deep of water.
Oh man.
And it will cause a tsunami on the entire Pacific Rim of between 1,500 and 3,000 feet. And there'll be not, I mean, it will literally, any country that is even close to the Pacific Ocean could disappear. All your island countries, Hawaii, for example, there's going to be barren rock when this is over.
Oh no.
And the volcanologists are not saying if, they're saying when. It's not an if event, it's a when event. And same with the CME hitting.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of time.
I'm not a doom and gloom, whatever you want to call it. But we're treading on some real thin ice as far as our humanity is concerned.
What bothers me though, Jim, is and this even greater than, because these are things that are going to happen probably no matter what at this point. What bothers me is that we have a civilization of people that are so hell bent on our own destruction and ideological to the point of insanity, like where they just believe things that are insane and stupid, that we can't turn it back around. And then we have a government and a power structure or an authority structure that, I mean, they want to hide these things from us because they don't think there's a way to fix it anyway. They probably either don't care because they'll be fine, they've got an escape route, so to speak, or some kind of a way to escape it all, just so they can survive. And they're like, you know what, let's just, you talk about thin the population, well, we're already doing it. And we're doing it to ourselves. The greater population, the greater mass of us are literally too stupid to realize what we are doing to ourselves. Literally, just too dumb.
I don't think they can be that stupid though. I mean, we all like
look at us. Look at us. Real. Look what we're doing to the world. Listen. You know what I heard someone say? Listen, I don't want to.
I just think it's all by design. Like they think they're gonna population control taking us down, especially after AI and technology steps in. They're gonna have to wipe some of us out. We're just useless eaters. Don't you think they're doing it on purpose? A lot of this.
Yeah,
it's a prime opportunity.
There's I should remember the name of the asteroid, but it.
Yeah, that's coming too.
But on. What is it? It's April 13th, 2029.
I heard that.
There's an object not quite the size of Manhattan. And Manhattan Island is small. It's not as big as Long Island, but it's a huge chunk. And it's going to pass between our geosynchronous satellites and Earth.
Oh, wow.
So it will be within 15 to 20,000 miles from Earth.
Yeah, the question is there debris? Is it carrying debris with it?
Duh. And and they said, and that's sort of a plus or minus of where they think it'll be. If it goes down a 0.5% of where they a half a degree of where they said it's coming through, plus or minus, it could impact us, or it could get so close it could incinerate that part of the Earth if it just skims the top of our atmosphere.
Oh, and if it doesn't move us, like knock us out of orbit, like we are making revolutions around the sun, but we're in a specific place, right? So if this thing hits us and knocks us off just a little bit, it could mess up our entire ecosystem.
What's really ironic, the April 13th, 2029, it's a Friday.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that would be one hell of a Friday the 13th event.
I want to survive it. I remember seeing this movie. I can't think of what. Maybe it was The Day After Tomorrow. I don't know. Where they made I don't know, because they made like these giant ships. They called them arcs, and they were trying to. Was it The Day After Tomorrow? They were
it was either Armageddon or.
I don't remember.
I think it was the one with oh come on, my mind is
I
just
can't think of what it is either. To be totally, I don't remember. But
Is it because I took my jacket off?
wow,
yeah.
I'm
totally,
joking.
you got the
I
chat
mean,
all hot and bothered. The chat's over there. You ever see
I don't remember
those old cartoons?
anymore.
The old cartoon with the dog? Coley, calm down. Chat,
oh,
calm down.
I had to throw it in there.
2012. Thank
according
you, Scott. 2012. Scott Rosin for the win. 2012.
Ooh.
That's
oh
what it was
yes,
called.
yeah,
2012. Thank you, Scott.
yeah, yeah. And that is as much fantasy as anything. But
Yeah, I mean it's a movie. All I'm saying is that
yeah,
like I want to survive because honestly, I feel like I could adapt to let's say that these civil because the idea that these civilizations and I know we don't have you much longer, but and we do got to get to the radio here in about 15 minutes, but um the idea that these cataclysms may have happened before and that a civilization has survived these cataclysms, they're advanced in technology, they're the ones that we're seeing potentially. Um, it makes sense. I don't know if I believe that per se, but it does make sense. My general concern is that we're none of us are gonna make it. Like anybody who thinks they're gonna make, like the government or these secret organizations who are like, yeah, we got a bunker, they're not going to like none of us. There is no hope for any of us. But whoever these people are, these other civilizations are, they know that, and the cataclysmic disclosure they're warning us about that all these Elizondo and all them are talking about the cataclysmic. I used to have dreams about the end of the world happening, and the world is falling apart. And ironically, a lot of experiencers have had these same dreams. It's ironic,
I've
and
heard
the
that.
world is falling apart, and ultimately, there are these lights in the sky just watching everything go to crap. The world, people dying all around me. There's things happening. I don't know exactly what's going on, but it's a recurring dream I've had since I was a little kid. That these lights are in the sky just watching. They're not doing anything,
I,
and that's
yeah,
what I think probably is going to happen.
I've had a half a dozen dreams come true. Maybe they're more nightmares. For 7 years, I kept telling my first wife, I'm going to be in downtown San Francisco during a major earthquake.
Mm,
And there was no reason for me to stay downtown because I grew up down the peninsula. I have family over in the East Bay. And I was there for the October 87 across the bay World Series earthquake. It was 7.5 on the Richter scale.
Wow.
I also told her about uh, I was to be near someplace famous, and I was just underneath the Hollywood sign. I was staying with my
Mm.
friend Stu Brown from Popular Science when we had the Northridge earthquake.
mm,
But the one event that I never told anybody about because it was too outrageous is I kept having for over 10 years a recurring dream of wide bodied airliners crashing into the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and the White House.
mm. No way.
And it was so
Wow.
outrageous. It was so outrageous. I didn't tell anybody. But one I've had a recurring dream about, and it makes me real hesitant, is I keep having the same dream that I'm going to be in the Pacific Northwest when the Cascadia subduction zone decides to rip.
Wow. I mean,
But
oh man.
on the positive side,
Don't go. Yeah.
in my dreams, I survive, and everybody that's near and dear to me survive. So if it happens and I'm
That's
there, I'm really going to freak out. But one thing, uh, like I told you, I was on the operating room table for 11 hours here almost 40 years ago, and I was 40 years old when I I needed a hearing aid. I had I'm always saying, huh. I
Mm,
have a ringing in my left ear, and I figure I used to be a smoker. I used to smoke 3 packs a day, and I quit uh, in 1978. I haven't had a cigarette since,
all right,
and
man.
I started smoking when I was 12.
Mm,
But I uh, I went in for a hearing test, and the doctor says, "This is Christmas of '85." He said, "I don't like the results of the test. Your right ear, you have hearing loss because you've probably been around airplanes, which is correct. But the hearing loss in your left ear, you either have a viral infection on your inner ear or you have a tumor on your auditory nerve. Oh, okay. So I'm gonna order a CT scan. And I was the vice president general manager of a startup company. We had 58 employees. And I went in on December 29th for a CT scan. He said, "We'll come back, we'll have the results to your doctor in 10 days, 2 weeks." I said, "Okay." So it's now January 13th, 1986. I go to work. It's Minnesota. It's January. It's 18 below zero when I get to the office. A bunch of guys are outside milling around. They're Minnesota guys, so it's the wind's not blowing. They're out there having a cigarette. No big thing. I said, "Why you guys aren't? Why aren't you? How come you're not in the building?" I said, "Have you been inside?" I said, "No." Walk in there, and the building is vacant.
Give me 1 second, guys. I'll be right back. Just keep going. Give me 1 second,
Yeah,
everybody. Give me 1 second.
yeah, yeah. The building was vacant. Over the weekend, they had moved everything out. They liquidated the company. So I had an appointment to go to see my doctor, get results of the CT scan. And I go in there. We called it group death. It's up in St. Louis Park. It's actually called, the official name is group health, but group death fits better.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah. And I go in there, and Steve Satz is my ENT doctor, and he throws the image up on the light box, and I have a tumor the size of a golf ball. If you go right in here and right in there, where those 2 points converge, was the center of a tumor, and it was wrapped around my auditory nerve and my facial nerve. Those two, the seventh and eighth nerve, they're together. They wrapped itself around. So Dr. Set said, if it's what we think it is, it's historically benign, but not necessarily. So because of where it's at and the size of it, at 5 hours of surgery, you have a 50-50 chance of survival.
Wow.
And every hour after that, and the doctor goes like this, every hour after that, your chances go straight down. And it said anything 7, 8, 9 hours, you're looking at single digit chance of survival. So I'm 40 years old. I said, okay. So I called the wife up, say Ventic's out of business, and I'm on my way to St. Louis Park to go to group death. I said, I'll let you know when I get home. So when they told me that my chances of survival were piss poor, it didn't affect me. It's like someone saying your valve stem on your front tire, left front tire, is loose.
Right.
That was the emotional impact it had on me. So I go home. My marriage was on the rocks anyway. We had buried 2 children, and that's a hard thing to do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I had Andrew died in my arms, and they were both babies, and they were both very small. So was my son, who's going to be 50 next. No, he'll be 49 his next birthday. But
wow.
So the way I dealt with things that are negative, I go dancing. That is to me, that's my release. I'm in a different world. It's like a drug.
Yeah.
And I like it all from 40s big band, funk, disco, doo-wop, country western. I don't like heavy metal. Love blues, love funk. So I'm at my favorite watering hole, which I'd been going to 6 nights a week from 8:30 to 9:15. I danced one set. I didn't talk to anybody because I can't hear them. And and the band played for 45 minutes before it went to break. And then I would go home. I didn't go there to hit on anybody. And it's a Tuesday. I found out on Monday. And this is Tuesday, the 14th of January. And the band is just going on break, and I don't drink. And I just finished my Diet Coke, and I realize I'm 40 years old. I'm going to die. And it took everything I had to keep my composure to get out of Stone Wings. It took me 3 hours to go drive 4 miles home.
I bet.
I got home and I'm a puddle. And Shelley, my first wife, she's like my sister today. We were married 20 years. We've been divorced 30. And I get home and I'm just an absolute puddle. And and she's great about it. And as the second hand goes up to it's exactly 3 a.m. in the morning, it was like someone changed channels. And all of a sudden I had a peace come over me. And I said, if this is the end, I have no regrets. But if I survive surgery, I have to be happy. If I survive surgery all in one piece, I had to be happy. Because one of the things the doctor said, and it's a big if you survive surgery, you have about a 70% chance of having facial paralysis like this, seizures, and blindness in your left eye. And the net result is I suffer from really bad headaches. I've had a constant headache for 38 and a half years, but I'm not dead. That's the important part of it.
And you're traveling around the country and doing all these fun things. And, I give you a lot of credit for doing that. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I was taking almost a lethal dose of Advil and Tylenol every 4 hours for 10 years around the clock. 3 extra strength Tylenol and 2 Advil every 4 hours for 10 years just to keep my head on my shoulders.
Yeah.
And finally, it turns out that half the headache, 50% of the headache was all the damage they did to my nerve endings and tendons in my neck. But the other half, she's 4'10", she's Greek, she has blue eyes, and she's brunette. And her name was Tony. That was the other part of my headache. But I wean myself off of Tylenol and Advil, and I do not take ibuprofen at all because they're surprised I have a liver or kidneys left.
Oh man.
So am I, from all the things that I've heard about that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That is.
So I don't take any. I don't take aspirin. I don't take anything that's going to affect my kidneys or my liver. Oh, you're not putting your clothes back on.
Oh. God, he catches everything.
So
got a little cool on.
But it's a real. I don't even know what best way to describe it. When you don't give a crap about anything other than things that are close and important to me.
Yeah.
When I don't care what anybody thinks of me, when I don't, you don't like me, Pat, there's a lot. Join the club. There's a lot of people out there.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah,
but I'm not bothered by it anymore.
I'm not either.
So are you scared of dying? I said absolutely not. I came to that point 38 and a half years ago, and I accepted the fact that I was going to die. I came to peace with myself, and it doesn't affect me anymore. And so aren't you scared of this? Or are you scared of that? And I said, no, I feel bad. When I laid my bike, my Harley, I was coming back from Sturgis in 2013. I'm in West Texas. I'm doing 70 miles an hour. And all of a sudden I hit about 3 to 4 inches of standing water on the road. And the bike started going like this. I knew I was going to leave, and my only thought was, oh shit, I didn't want to go this way. I wasn't afraid of dying, but I was concerned that my wife would have to identify this pile of hamburger that's wrapped in leather.
You didn't have license plates? Yeah. No, that's scary though. Yeah.
I mean, and I talked to quite a few of the people who saw me go down, and they said it was almost surrealistic. It said, and you hydroplaned right along with your bike for over a quarter of a mile. And somewhere in between, I'm laying like this, and I'm conscious, and I'm still right next to my motorcycle, and I know I'm zipping down the road. And I don't remember it, and I don't remember stopping, but then I remembered I was stopped, and I'm still sitting like this. And my only thought was, oh shit, I didn't want to go this way. I wasn't afraid of dying, but I was concerned that my wife would have to identify this pile of hamburger that's wrapped in leather. And my only thought was, oh God, I hope my feet are where they're supposed to be.
Oh man.
Well,
Oh
yeah,
no.
right.
And I
Do
looked
I have
down.
all my limbs? Yeah.
Yeah, I looked down and they were right where they're supposed to be. And I lifted one foot up. I wiggled my wrist, my ankle. That worked. I lifted my leg up. That worked. I did the same with the other one. Then I went like this and this hand. That was good. That was good.
Ooh.
All right, it was this hand first, and then went like this, and then I went like this. I lost a little bit of skin. You can't see it. You can almost see it's a little bit white right there. That is it. 70 miles an hour
Wow.
leaving a motorcycle, skidding for a quarter of a mile. So then I'm
Wow.
laying there. I'm blocking both westbound lanes. And the next thing I said, I think to myself, oh God, I hope there isn't an 18-wheeler with 80,000 pounds of hogs right behind me because I'm blocking both westbound lanes. Three
Oh,
cars
wow.
behind me crashed. There were serious
Oh
injuries.
my
A
goodness, man.
semi westbound lost its 50-foot flatbed trailer. It was upside down in the center median. And as I'm laying, all of a sudden I just get up and I walk to the shoulder. And everybody was coming running towards me. They just gasped, said,
Oh,
"We thought you were dead." So finally, when
bad.
we lifted my motorcycle up, brought it to the shoulder, started right up, and my load didn't shift. But the paramedics came, and I'm in the ambulance, and they're checking me out, and said, "We don't seem to be hurt very much." I said, "You want to go to the hospital?" I said, "No." I said, "I'm fine." I said, "I got a little bit of road rash here. That's it." So he said, "Well, Mr. Goodall, how old are you?" And I said, well, I'm 68. He said, "You know," or 69. He said, you should be out in the middle of the road with a sheet over you. You do know that." I said, "Yeah." And he said, "And you walked away from it." I said, "Yeah, but I was never 100% of my Harley from that day forward, and I eventually gave it to my best friend, and traded it. I traded up to a Corvette, so that's what I drive. And
There's where the Corvette came from.
I'll be going up Highway 61 next month, July.
I'm glad you're still
Are you coming
alive,
to
man.
grab
Jeez.
me?
Pardon?
Are you coming to grab me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jim and I are going on a road trip.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm a zipper.
Yeah.
I've had it to 140, 145.
I'm ready.
It'll do 185.
Oh man, you guys are wild.
Yeah.
So Jim,
But
listen, man, I gotta say, we got like 5 minutes left. Coley, I'm sorry, we gotta. If you can wait, if you want to keep going, we can keep going.
No, I have an obligation. Actually, it started an hour ago.
Okay.
Oh,
We're gonna be
thank
going on
you
the radio
so
side.
much,
Jim,
Jim.
I'm
Yes.
so sorry.
I wanted to be on here for the two of you. I
Thank
think
you.
I want to do both.
Thank you.
And I just say that I'm like, I was pretty low hunting him on Facebook because I was so excited to get you. You were my first, when I went on Space Out Radio, you were my first guest on there. And then with Marquise and I'm like, we've always talked about it. It was that one moment. So, and now you've been the first guest here with us tonight. And I have to say,
I'm honored, and
that's amazing.
I think the world of both of you.
Thank you.
I have feel I'm a loner. I'm a very well-known loner. A lot of people know who I am, but very few people know who I am. And I'm attracted to a certain type of group or person. I usually will join something and I'll be there a year and a half, maybe 2 years, and I get bored with it. I get tired of it.
Yeah.
I fell into this by accident in 2019. Michael Schratt, who's been a friend of mine for over 25 years, he's like my kid. He told me he was going to be at a MUFON thing in Phoenix. I live in Tucson. That's 90 miles away. He said, they're going to be airing Bob Lazar from Jeremy Corbell's thingy.
Jeremy Dumbo.
Yeah, so I head up there. I go to the Hilton, and everybody is in on the showing of Lazar. So I go into where the vendors are. There's almost nobody there. There's one guy sitting sitting just as you first come in, a nice comfortable chair, and I said, can I plop my butt down? He said, sure. He said, he introduced him and says, "My name's Doc Skinner." And I said, "Well, I'm Jim Goodall." And his mouth dropped. He said, "I didn't see you on the program." I said, "I didn't know I was coming here until this morning. Why would I be on the program?" And it's just one thing after another. And that was the beginning of my involvement in the UFO community.
Wow.
And there's only one or two jackasses
Wow.
that I've met.
I met him too. Yeah.
Yeah, and
they're far and few between, and it, like once you get to a certain point, like, and everybody loves you, you know.
Everybody loves
They
you.
do.
Legit.
I will help anybody out on a show. I'm just me. I'm nobody special, except I've been around for a long time and I've met a lot of incredible people in all sorts of different categories. But I've talked to some podcasters. Said, I went to ask so and so if he'd be on or she'd be on. They said, "Well, how many subscribers you have?" I said, "Well, I don't. You only have like 120 or whatever it is." No, when you have 20,000, you call me. I don't care if you have one, and it's yourself.
Yes.
That's awesome. We
yes,
definitely
I love
appreciate
that.
We just started this thing, so this is good.
I'd be more than happy to to be on your program, to to do what answer any questions. I don't have any preconceived, you have to be this, you have to be that. You want me on? I'm very opinionated.
I love that too.
And I don't care what people think of me. I don't try to upset anybody, but if you want me on, I'm honored to be on. You just tell me.
That's awesome.
And
I've heard that before, and I've seen you do it. I've seen you do it a bazillion times, and you know, every conversation, it's not like you give anything less. Like, you give it your all when you go in there, and that's amazing.
Yeah,
that really is.
People ask me, "Well, what are you holding back on?" I said, "Nothing." So what do you mean nothing? I said, if I have this nugget that, I mean, it's earth shattering. I have a piece of a real UFO, or I have 3 pounds of element 115 or whatever. I'm going to share that, because if I keep it to myself and when I go to bed tonight, I have a stroke or I die or I get hit with a meteor.
Wow.
That's lost.
So do we get a piece of that? I mean, and like, I would never want anything like that to happen. But if you were ever to, just in case, you should send us a copy, like some stuff.
Yeah, I mean, but I will get hold. I mean,
sample packets.
If all of a sudden I stumble across something that's earth shattering,
yeah,
I'm gonna let everybody who's on a podcast know. And I'm not, and I don't hold back. I don't hold back on anything. The only thing I hold back on is the 2 or 3 names that I wouldn't piss on if they were on fire.
Yeah. That's great.
I love it.
Other than that, I'm an open book, and I will help anybody. If anybody in your audience, if this is,
take them up on the offer. Seriously, he will.
If you want to do a podcast and you're looking to, well, who can I talk into coming into on my show? I'm on Facebook. That's the only site that I'm on. It's Jim Goodall. I think they have the 71 after my name.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
But
yeah, we'll post that too.
Yeah, and also if you like spooky airplanes and submarines and things that go bump in the night,
fast cars.
Yeah, but you go to Amazon and punch in books by James C. Goodall.
I'm gonna put that I'm gonna post this in the chat, by the way, so you guys have it, because everybody, in case they don't have it.
All my hardbound books will show up there, and I have some of my softbound books you just go Jim Goodall.
Post it in the chat, guys.
Well, I'm gonna have to get some for some signatures then when you come through Iowa. So yeah. That's a good idea. I'm gonna write them down, the ones that I don't have, but yeah.
So
then I'll get them signatured firsthand, autographed by Jim Goodall. Not while you're driving, though. You have to pull over. I told Jim, I said, I will jump in front of your car, on the hood of your car, if you don't stop and pick me up on the way.
This is an abbreviated trip.
No, I know.
I was going to my typical tracks when I leave here. I go from here to Austin, Texas, to Dallas, then from there to Memphis, from Memphis to Dayton, and then Dayton to Minnesota. Uh, this trip, I'm going to go from here to Austin to Dallas. No, I'll go from here to Austin to Dallas. I'll stop in uh, Wichita for a bit. I have friends there, and I'll probably spend the night in Kansas City. I have a dear friend there, and then I'm going to head east on 80, and when I forget what the crossroad is that goes off Interstate 80 heading towards Dubuque.
Yeah,
So
you knew like right where it was at. I was like, whoa, yeah.
Yeah, so I'll take that road and I'll come and knock on your door.
Yes, yes. And then
Yes.
we should go visit somebody else. I want to go on a little mini road trip with Jim.
That would be fine.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, that would be fun. That would be fun. So I thoroughly enjoyed my time here. I wish the two of you nothing but success. I hope I was helpful.
Yes,
yeah, you absolutely were.
definitely.
100%.
And as long as I have an open date, and you want me on again, you just let me know.
Oh, you better believe it.
Oh, you're going to be getting hit up again.
Yeah.
We love you. You're so much fun to talk to, man.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because I don't have an agenda. That's probably why I get along with especially this group of people, because I don't have it. I'm not looking for fame. I'm not looking for fortune. I have a wealth of knowledge. I have an incredibly good memory, and I've been around long enough, and I've known some of the biggest characters in this community.
Yes.
I mean, when I can say that John Lear is a friend of mine, we started in 1974, I think it was. So it was almost 50 years that we've been friends. John Andrews from Testers, he's the one who hooked me up with him. Bob Lazar, I've been friends with him since the first week of January of '89. So
yeah.
And
I'm gonna pick your brain on him more next time. So you're coming back very soon.
That's fine by me. I'm there for you. So you have a less than a minute.
Yeah, we got less than a minute. We are, by the way, in case anybody's listening, we are now also. I know you're hitting the tail end of this, but we are on the radio now. I'm sending out the link on our Facebook. But Jim, thank you so much for being here, man. This was honestly, it was an honor.
I
it was
enjoyed
awesome.
it, and Marquise, one of these days I'll track you down and meet you face to face.
That would be, dude. That would be meet my family, man. You got to meet the family. People do not believe me when I tell them meet the family. You'll be. It's going to be awesome. It'll be awesome.
Now where's home?
I'll tell you privately.
Okay.
I'll tell you.
He knows where I live. I'm like at the intersection of Dubuque, Iowa. You're gonna be there. Yeah. No.
I'll tell you privately. We'll talk. I'll send you I'll DM you my details.
All right. Super.
All right. Thanks, Jim. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much.
Marquise, you have a wonderful evening, and I'll talk at you later.
All right,
Thank you for kicking it off again for us. Yeah, that was amazing.
All right, guys. So I just want to give a special thanks to Jim Goodall. So just so you know, we're gonna be still live. We are now live on the radio side, but we're also live. If you're on YouTube, I'm gonna keep it up just because this time we had some technical issues. But in the future, we will only be live on the radio side on Saturday nights. So just keep that in mind. I'm gonna give Coley a call so that she can be a part of this conversation too. We're gonna talk about some other things here. Coley, I hope you're listening. You guys can hear that ring? That's me calling Coley. Coley, you with me? Give her a second here. Coley. Chat, can you guys? I don't know if anybody can hear me on the YouTube end or not. Can you guys hear me on YouTube? You know what? If not, we'll do it another way. I'll hit her back up on Zoom. Hold on one second. So anyone who's listening again, we're live on the radio right now. And I'm glad that you guys can hear me. So that's good. That's fantastic. I'm gonna go back to here. We are live on radio. We're live on multiple platforms, but again, this is just this week because we had some technical issues getting set up for the first time on the radio side. But now we are on the radio side live. So, Coley, stay tuned. I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. Here it is. Link. And we are in. 1 second here. Setting everything up. So yeah, that was awesome. We had, in case you're on the radio, we had Jim Goodall on with us to talk about things that he's never talked about before. Now listen, I've never heard Jim, maybe other people have heard this. I've never heard Jim say that he thinks that his daughter may be non-human, alien, if you will. That's crazy to me because honestly, I've been wondering about people who live among us, who walk among us, who look like us, but they're not us. They're not necessarily human. There's something different. There's something special. You can say they're not special to me. If you have DNA or genetics of some kind that is not human, you're special. Now, there are special humans too. Don't worry. I think you're all special. But there's that extra special for those who may be different. Um, they may be, again, not human. And Jim thinks that his daughter might be that. That's awesome. I never heard Jim say that before. So that's exciting to me. And I'm glad that he said that here on our show live. Again, we are now live on the radio side. So, radio, what's up? In case you don't know, my name is Marquise. Coley is here with us. She'll be here soon with us. She was with us here for the whole talk with Jim Goodall. And we are the Coley and Marquise Show. We're going to be doing this talk show every Saturday live at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And we have a lot of guests lined up every week for months to come. If you want to be a part of the conversation, we will be on Helix Rock Radio. You can find Helix Rock Radio on the internet at Rock Radio Live, rockradio.live. You can also download the app in the App Store. It is also in the Google Play Store. The app is called Helix Rock Radio on both Apple and on Android devices, so you can listen to the Rock Radio and on both of those devices, as well as the interwebs if you're on the interweb. But you can also listen to us on our Facebook page, which is we're going to be sharing the Helix Rock Radio on the Facebook page. By the way, I listen to the station. I grew up on rock music. I literally grew up, listen, I love rock music. I got no problem with rock music. I love music in general. So if you're into music, period, you got to listen to the radio show. The radio show it's awesome. You can rock out to it. Now, we haven't got our intro yet. We haven't got our outro yet. This is our very first episode, so you have to bear with us on that. But we are going to have so many conversations with so many people. You guys are going to be really, not just entertained, but you're also going to be informed. We are just talking. We're having a chat. We don't have a lot to go by when it comes to, I'm not a news guy. I'm not somebody you should look to for your main source of information, but I am someone you should look to for a conversation, to have a conversation with people that do have information, to have a conversation with experts in their own field respectively, people that are looking into things that are in the supernatural, the paranormal, UFOs, extraterrestrials, non-human intelligences, whatever you want to call them, reptilians, greys, fairies, demigods, whatever they are. We're going to be talking about all of that. And I hope you're interested because we want to know what people are experiencing out there. There's a lot of things happening on this planet. And in this world, in this life, there are so many things that we all experience individually, subjectively, that unless we listen, we don't know that it's happening to other people. There may be a pool of people that are having the exact same experience. And until we have these conversations and let you all know that it's normal, that these things happen to more than just you, you're not going to know. You're going to think you're just an outlier. You're going to think that you're somebody that's had a strange encounter at late at nighttime because you're tired versus an actual experience with something that might be supernatural. You may think that you're crazy because you had an experience where maybe you were taken aboard ship. When I say a ship, I'm speaking obviously colloquially. I mean a craft, a flying object, a UFO, and you've maybe even piloted them, which, by the way, we got someone coming on to talk about that. Dolly and Preston, you know who you are. You may be somebody who's had an experience with a reptilian alien that has been in your bedroom and you've had a conversation with it and it's told you things that you can't believe. Who knows? Whatever you may have experienced, we're going to be talking about all that stuff to let you know you're not alone. Coley is with us. Coley, say what's
Hey,
up, sweetie.
I'm back. Yes.
Welcome back.
No,
Welcome
this
back.
is great. What a wonderful conversation with Jim. That was like amazing.
That was awesome. I was just talking about how, like, I never heard, I don't remember him ever talking about the idea or the fact that he thinks his daughter may be something else, something more than human. That's
I'm,
crazy.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
dig a little deeper in on him because I feel like I probably have all those characteristics
You
too.
might be
But you know what
somebody.
I
You know
you
what
know, like
people
a lot of kids. But yeah, no, he there's something more to it because I know Jim well enough to know like his face, there was something more to it. We'll definitely have to dig deeper on that one next time he comes on. He's wonderful though, yeah.
Yeah, Jim is awesome, and he's also funny. I mean, he's a hilarious guy. Guys,
I know.
we just love Jim. And again, Coley, we are live. The we're on the radio right now. This is our first
Yes.
appearance on rock radio. And honestly, he looks rock radio
Yeah.
was awesome. I was telling the chat, I was listening to the station. I love the music. I
Yeah,
love it.
me too.
Yeah.
Me too. I can't wait. Yeah, I think it's going to be a great, great fit. And it's different. And, the way that we're going to kind of work it and combining both of them, I think it's just going to be a really awesome experience for everybody to learn, and it's a great way to learn. And I'm going to take calls, so we got a lot of things there that are up and coming that are pretty exciting.
Yeah, I was just telling it again, I was talking to everybody that, this is going to be, Coley has been on a roll. Coley's a rock star. I don't care what it, listen, I was, one night she hits me up, she's like, let's do this. And I'm like, you know what? Let's do this. And the next day, my Facebook was, it exploded. I was like, what have you been doing on that? Did you sleep at all? 2 nights later, it's even more. It was wild. It was like exponential. It was wild. So I hope everybody
Like it
just gives
was
us special
meant
thanks
to
to it.
be.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yes, and it was like I said we should get the band back together. You want to get the band back together? And he's
I
like, "Are
was
you
like, let's.
serious?" And I was like, "100%.
Yeah,
Yes."
your timing couldn't have been better. The thing is, Chloe, is like, I wanted to continue doing this. I wanted to keep having the conversations and talking about these things. But the problem is that, like, yeah, I was talking to people. Listen, I don't have the time and honestly the ability to do as much as I was. I just don't. I don't. You know how my life is. I got a lot going on in my
Mhm.
personal life, but I want to do this. I can't not talk about this stuff. So I had to figure something out, and it was ironic that your timing, you hit me up at the right time. So here we are.
Yes.
Here we
Yeah,
are.
and everything syncs together. Like you do your part so well, and like we've just always been like that
Yeah,
from back in the like spaced out radio. It's like
yeah.
no time had lapsed,
No,
and
it's awesome.
I've never been with somebody that we sync together, and it's fun. I look forward to doing shows like this. It's like I'm like pumped about like things again, and that excitement right there alone tells you you're going the right direction.
Yeah, we
And
can
there's
talk.
just,
Yeah, we
yeah,
can talk.
definitely.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like,
Definitely.
it's like, can you talk to somebody for hours and hours on end and about anything, and then make it entertaining and informative to people, and give them a little bit of information they may not have, or just a perspective they're not aware of, that we can do. Plus, listen, y'all, Coley is like low key a comedian. You're gonna find out because I remember in the SOR days when sometimes I'm like, okay, she's cool to talk to, and then all of a sudden you'd say something, I'm like, yo, you've been holding back. You're hiding your power level, Coley. Stop playing because you're hilarious. You're hilarious.
You go.
So y'all have a lot to look forward to. It's gonna be so
Oh
much fun.
yeah, my gosh, yeah, Marquise. I can say enough great things about you too. I just love the dynamic more than anything. You so informative and so passionate. Like I love that passion because then it gets me, excited and it just really it's definitely a dynamic. But yeah, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that it finally happened the way it's
Yeah,
supposed to
the way that
be.
it's
Like I
supposed to
feel
be.
like yeah,
Yeah,
the
time.
band is back together.
The
Yep,
band is
timing is
back in town.
everything.
Oh, that's how the
It's
song goes.
perfect. Yeah.
Cataclysms, Coley, like there.
I mean, we hit it off.
Yeah, the thing is, and it's ironic again. The irony of timing is, what do they call it, synchronicity? I was talking about the idea recently of that there may be a coming cataclysm that we may be experiencing soon. John Ramirez mentioned 2027 as a date that something's supposed to happen. Now he's kind of cryptic
That
about specifically what that means, but I mean, I'd like to know what that means. He's not the only one, by the way.
we'll have to get him on.
He's not.
No, he's
That would be
not.
awesome. I haven't. John's been MIA because he did say the last time I talked to John, he said that he has to take a step back for a while because there are things that are happening that have to essentially happen before he gets back on the scene. I don't know what those things are, but I have a feeling that they're coming soon, and he'll be back, and maybe we'll get him back on. Maybe I'll be, but maybe he'll hit me up and he'll hit me back actually because he hasn't hit me back at all for a long time actually since the last time I talked to him. We talked for a little bit and then I haven't heard from him since. And as apparently he's been doing that to a lot of people. He just has been taking a step back from this whole thing. I kind of worry about how people have treated him and other people that have come forward and
Mm.
talked about things, where like they're attacking whistleblowers and they're attacking people that have been on the inside and intelligence people who have something to say, either because it's what they have to say may seem outlandish. Give them a chance. Listen, it's all data. I mean, who knows what's going on? But it's all information. It's all
Right.
data. Just listen
And
respectfully
there's
and
always pieces. There's
yeah,
always pieces
pieces.
of something there. Yeah. And you don't know what they have experienced. I'm telling you, the truth is far stranger than fiction. And, like just when you think you've heard it all, and going back, I remember saying, I think extraterrestrial humans, like the HETs, what we call them, live among us. And people are like, no,
Yeah,
like, oh, she believes that there's aliens here right now in
I
human
get it.
form. And I'd be like, yeah. And then, but now look at it, it's more like a mainstream, like people be like,
Yeah.
yeah, no,
Well, look,
you know?
let me pull up that let me pull up that Harvard study. Let's see, aliens among us, right? There was that Harvard study. So
I
researchers
want
at
to
Harvard
know the
University.
percentage.
I'm gonna tell you what this is. This is it. So researchers at Harvard University and Montana Technological University speculate. Keep in mind, keyword,
Mhm.
that an unidentified technologically advanced population could be living among humans secretly on Earth. Nick Pope, who ran the
Oh,
British government UFO project adds more context to the findings. And I watched all these different, like, I watched Fox 10 and I watched News Nation, and everybody's talking about. And by the way, you need to follow News Nation. Like Ross Coldhart is doing his thing, but News Nation is
I'll check
definitely,
it out.
yeah, the News Nation is where it's popping. If you want to hear about news on the whole phenomena and what's going, watch News Nation, follow Ross Coldhart. Again, you don't have to agree with him. I don't agree with everything he says, but I respect the heck out of that guy, and I think
Mhm.
he's doing, the work for humanity. Period. About all on this
you
this
you think of
phenomenon.
it though, it's like an evolution process, like the journey. Like I figure when I first started this going back, I was like, oh, space buddy, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's kind of something. So I try and look at it like, hey, this person's trying to give this information in the best way that they know how. As time progresses and he learns more, that might change it up totally different. But I understand that.
Yeah, there's
I
a lot.
definitely
There's a
do.
lot,
At least he's
and
doing his part.
he's doing something. And you said it, like you were like, you know, about people having different perspectives and respecting it, which we both agree on that. It's all about pieces to the puzzle. That's the key.
Mhm.
I really like the idea that there are that what you said, that there are pieces to the puzzle. Because honestly, there are. Like we don't. No one person has all the answers. But if you listen to
Mhm.
everyone, it starts to build a picture of what's happening. And I mean, who knows? We'll probably never get that all the pieces, but at least we can get some kind of glimmer, some kind of a silhouette of the truth, so to speak. And the silhouette is becoming more and more clear as the years go by. We just have to be patient. We have to keep looking. We have to keep learning. We have to keep listening to people. Key word, listen.
Mhm.
Just listen to these people. Listen to what they have to say. Parse it out for yourself. Make sense of it as you see fit. Because you have to live with yourself, your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs. Nobody else does.
Absolutely.
But you
It's
can't,
subjective.
it's subjective.
It's subjective. It really is. And when you think about it, like everybody's experience, I call it like points of reflection. Like maybe it was enough for you to stop and, like we're all coming together. Not a one of us know or have like all the pieces to the missing time or any of that. But it's like we all hold that. And I think that's what disclosure is all about. And that's why I think that we together, we're not motivated like the other people in this. Like, we honest to God want these answers and to give that information out to the people. And we have people like Jim who's saying the same thing. If I have it, I'm going to give you that information. So, we can start to put that puzzle together. We might only have end pieces and some, middle pieces along the way, but we're going to get there.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get there.
Together.
Definitely.
Together.
Together. Yes.
And
we can move mountains.
Yeah,
for sure.
We can move mountains, and you can't do it by, blocking out information you don't like. Like, it's never gonna work. You're never gonna find the truth about anything if you block out information you just don't like. You got to look at it all, even if it's information again that you don't agree with. So.
Right, and there's certain, there's certain guests, like there's certain things. Hey, I might not like, all the things that they've done, but I know that they hold truths in this, and then for that, like, once you start, and I know you too, Marquise, like we've laid down a lot of the groundwork. So you're gonna say, hey, this either makes sense or this doesn't make sense or this fits, but let's check it out and dig into it a little bit deeper. And then that's what you have to have. And once you start to see the patterns in some of this, that they do. Like, I don't, it was harder for me to talk to like some of the counterintelligence agents and things, but I found, some of them were the pieces that I got and that I checked into were some of the biggest pieces of intel that we've gotten so far. So you just have to take those parts of it and, like you said, we're gonna put that puzzle together, like as collectively as a family, like as every guest that we have on and it comes about, or like people like Jim or people that we have a whole different conversation with them than I think most people will have, but it's real. And you get to know the people, and then you can kind of see a lot of this, like these are real people with real lives. They're not just on a stage playing this. No, this affected our lives enough to completely change the entire course it was running in. So definitely.
Yeah, there's so many people that have been low key, and it's so funny because I was like, I try to watch even people that especially as a matter of fact, people I don't like. I don't like this. I don't want to mention any names.
No.
There are some content creators I just don't like them. And let me explain. So there is this one person that is great speaker, has a great show, very well designed, very well put together, and I love the conversation that this person has. The way that this person talks about things. They investigate the phenomena, but they're so convoluted. Well, I shouldn't even say that. They're more vague about what their perspective is, but they do this really interesting trick where they kind of guide people towards a conclusion by suggesting things that aren't even part of the data. So, for example, let's say we're talking about aliens, and I was like, yeah, are we talking about aliens? Like, are we talking about like little green men from Mars? I mean, are we talking about the 1950s show where they shoot laser beams out of their eyes? And I sit here and I mock the whole idea of what aliens represent in like comical media throughout history. Well,
Right.
am I
Desensitization
right,
and it's subliminal dissemination. That's how they put it out there. Disney, that's why they make the films they do.
right? They're doing
It's
it.
like
They're
making
doing it
a mockery of it. Yeah.
exactly. Now, if all I do is talk about the mockery side of things, but then I say, but I'm open-minded. Well,
Mhm.
no, you're not. Like, you're literally just mocking these ideas, but you're posing yourself as this disaffected, balanced person who looks at things on both sides. No, you're not. We know what you are.
Right.
And I did a small talk where I said, like, guys, you got to be able to see through these things. And I'm
Hmm.
so glad we're having these conversations. Coley, I'm glad we're doing this because now
I
I get to
know.
now I get to really have them and not call anybody out specifically, but call out the ideas and the way that people are playing this little game where they're just professional debunkers, essentially.
Yeah.
And
Well,
don't
now we
fall
have
for
the
it.
freedom to do that. And we're so bound
Yeah.
sometimes in different things, and like, but now we have that freedom together to ask those questions and to
Yeah.
go there with people. And that's what we're doing. And that's why I'm like super excited, because it's not like, oh, this controlled, no, Marquise and I we
We go
go
there.
and we
Yeah, we talk
like
about
go
whatever.
back. Yeah. And we'll go there. We'll ask those real questions. We'll find those answers. one way or
Yeah,
another.
and we'll have the conversations. And I appreciate that
Yes.
we're asking the questions. We're just talking about it. We're just having a casual convo. We're just talking about these things, and what do you call it? Stream of consciousness. There's nothing. There's Again, don't come here if I'm not a newscaster, ladies and gentlemen. I just talk about aliens and stuff. That's all I do. That's all I want to do. I just want to talk about aliens and stuff. You know?
Don't you think that, like, I just remember when my first experience started, and they said, like, why am I in this? What am I here for? And they said, you're here for communication. And I never understood it. And I truly believe, Marquise, like, you're here for the same thing. Like, we all have different parts of this that we play. If you told me that I'd be doing this like 7 years ago, I'd been
I
like,
would
you
have.
are
Yeah.
crazy.
Same.
I'd be like, no way. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. Definitely not. Like, I proudly wear my tinfoil hat now. It's like I went everywhere. My family be like, cringe. Like, do you have to ask? I
Yep.
do have to ask. I'd be like, so has anyone here? It's like
Coley,
you just never.
let me see. I literally used to have it. I literally made a tinfoil hat, like a legit. I used to put it up top of my
Yeah,
bed.
yeah,
You know
yeah. I had a princess one. Yeah. I
that?
loved it.
Did
I'll
that
have
for
to
you
dig mine
guys.
out.
That was
Yes.
so
I
much fun.
remember you had one, and then I had like this princess, and I was like,
Yeah,
this is the perfect
yeah.
tinfoil hat.
That was
Yes.
great. That was great.
Yes. Embrace it. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, people can say what they want, but it's like they're listening and they're obviously curious. And if that's
Yeah,
their defense mechanism, like I'm like the Jim Goodall route. Like, I don't care. Like,
yeah,
some people like me, love me, and then there's those other people that not so much. But along the same lines, you have to have that, like, that, because I have information maybe they need, or they have
yeah.
information maybe I need. But so unless we start to learn to, like, not just withhold all this information for ourselves and charge you $1 bazillion to get it, if ever, lock it in our cabinets and our safes. Like, no, we're saying we're going to throw this out there on the line. And I've got some good stuff too. I got some good stuff.
Yeah, listen,
I
you
was,
got you got so many. Coley, you are connected. Um, Listen, I have some contacts, but like I have more like private contact, like things that I can't people that can't like share. You have a lot of contacts. I mean, I didn't even realize how far reaching your contacts are, to be totally honest. I
you
told
know
you
what though?
2 days ago. It's like, holy crap, this girl. Yeah, so
I love it, and I keep in contact with a lot of people. I'm always reaching out. Hey, how's it been? Like, I haven't heard from you a little bit. Let's check in. Because that is important to keep that, like, and then you're up in front. I'm like, they know you or I. We're gonna break that story. They want that story broken. We're gonna break it, and we'll tell the truth. And we're not afraid to do it. And there's no government, like, agency that's preventing us from doing that, because we don't want to be a part of them. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, in certain situations, like, there's just different people that have NDAs. We didn't do that. We didn't sign anything.
no,
So
no.
we're free to talk. Yeah. And that's what I just did not like before, is that level of censorship, when I'm like, the questions we should be asking, nobody, or it's not the right time. Well, then when is the right time?
This
If we don't, we want disclosure. It's not, I say, rip those band-aids off, because we're going there.
What was it?
We are
Was it like
going there.
there was like who was it that said, oh man, there was a bunch of people. I say a bunch. There was a few people that were like other big figures in the UAP topic, UFO topic. Um, Bryce Sable and a couple other people were talking about how, like George Knapp was talking about this too, how they don't know. Given some information that they said they don't know if it's true or not, they just came across information that if it's true, they don't believe that people should know. But see, this is the thing, because it's so terrifying, so bad, that like that it would be better if people didn't know. I remember asking people, let me ask you this. Let's say that you were on a ship, right? In
Mm-hmm.
the middle of the ocean, freezing
Yeah.
cold. You're in, I don't know, Antarctica, and it's freezing. You fall in that water, you're dead. And it's late at night, and your lights get blown out because you can't see anything around you, and you're surrounded by a bunch of killer whales, and there's blood in the water, and now there's a big hole in the ship, and everyone's gonna die. But they got 16 hours of life left in them. Would you tell people?
Yes, you enjoy your last 16 hours of life. If we find another
Okay,
way, then
but they're gonna
great.
panic and they're gonna go. There could be panic and
Not
chaos and
necessarily.
but I mean, you don't think that, but some people would be like, you know what? If I tell everyone that the boat is gonna sink, and even if we survive the sinking ship, the killer whale, there's blood in the water. There's killer whales are
Yeah.
gonna eat us, right? They're gonna eat us. Well, they
But
don't
then
really.
people would
Right.
be able to make a decision. Some people might decide to dive in. That's their thing. I might decide to find the
They're
whiskey
gonna
on
die
the
of
ship and
hypothermia in moments. Like they're,
well,
like
like they made us sharks are there, the blood's in the water, like quick, you don't know. But
yeah,
that to each their own. Why would I want to control? So I'm afraid that everybody's gonna go berserko. Well, that's on them. Like I think that in a perspective, like I always used to say this when I was a therapist, so I don't like to say too much therapy things,
right,
but I'm gonna say this. I'm like, you're assuming and you're reliving this, but our assumptions are never correct on what we think. And there's so much out there and so much desensitization. And I've read so many posts that I really think people at this point would rather like that than the other. It's like, oh, alien abduction, stop and pick me up and get me off this crazy planet is what I've been reading.
yeah.
It's like, now that we've been there, they see that the things aren't quite as stable. And sometimes I don't know the excitement of it or just to understand it, but I mean, I always thought, like, are these experiences, like, I know we've talked about it too, are they negative, are they positive? Like, at the end of the day, it's a give and take, it's a reciprocal. But can you imagine if we didn't know and we didn't have those experiences? Like, that would be that would be I don't know what that would
Oh
feel like.
man, that's such
I'd
a
have to
tough one. No, it's
really,
tough. I don't
yeah,
know. I mean,
because
I'm
once you
really,
cross the line, you
yeah.
can't go back. You can't unsee it. You can't undo it. So
I
what would
mean,
it be like? You know?
you have a child, right? So like, I have children.
Hmm.
Like, I think about this. Like, I made the mistake once of, my one of my daughters was running in the middle of a parking lot. She, for some reason, she thought that it would be fun at a very young age to just run in the parking lot while there's cars, and then we're talking like hospital parking lots and all. And she didn't do that much with me because dad, girls tend to be better with dad than they are with mom. But with mom, she would do this, and so I said, you know what? I want you to see something. And there was a video, and this is I will forever regret doing this. A video of a little girl who got run over, and she died. And I was like, this is what could happen to you, and it messed her up. Like, not in a good way. It was like trauma to see someone get run over. She never did it again. She never did it again. But was it worth the trauma that I caused? Like, I will always regret what I did because I feel like there's another way to do it. There's an easier way. Or my biggest fear was
Or
that it wouldn't have mattered and she would have just kept doing it because she didn't realize how bad it could be. Did I do the right thing or the wrong thing?
what
Some
if
people
you
say,
saved her life? Like,
I
what if
don't.
you had that? That doesn't seem like your response. What if you had that extreme response because you needed to prevent something from happening? So I try not to look at those. Like my grandma used to tell me, like snakes would come up the toilet if you flush them. Like
Oh
it's
no.
okay to the point of where I was afraid to flush the toilet, and I was like a kid. You know what I mean? Like I swear to you, it was like,
Yo, grandparents are
like
crazy.
grandma, yeah. And about the cat that ate the lady down the
Yeah, yeah,
street,
yeah.
like, like things like that. But I don't think I look back on it now and I think, man, that's just my grandma. And like, that's just how unique, like, but what if I just say at that moment, like it was to stop or turn my attention away or it's saved,
Oh
you never
no, yeah,
know
yeah.
how just
I don't
little
know.
things.
I don't know. I think that when you talk about a population of 8 billion people at this point, but even the US, 350 million people or whatever it is, or 20, I don't know. I think it's 350 million now. I don't know. Or in like China or whatever. You're thinking about mass populations of people and given that we have a world that's so connected that if something goes awry in one place, it doesn't just affect that
Right.
place, it affects the entire world. The question is if whatever the truth is so jarring, so terrifying, so bad that it could cause. I mean, look at what happened. We talked about. We can't talk. We are on radio, so we do got to be careful about some things. But
Right.
let's just
No, I
say that
understand.
let's say that they're let's say that they're I don't know. I'm making this up. Let's say that there are the demons and jinn and the scary evil things that bump in the night are real. The bad evil things,
Hmm.
and that these bad evil things they eat souls. That you when you die you live on afterwards, but they eat you after you're dead, right? They'll you're gonna die and they're gonna eat you, and we are human beings are accelerating the death of all of us, and these evil things are waiting to feast on the souls of all mankind when we die. You gonna tell people about that? Because they believe in God and Buddha and Muhammad and all these other people. You gonna tell
Do I
these
have
people
evidence? Why
there's
would I want to
there?
hold it to
Let's say
myself?
there is proof of some kind
Hmm.
that is now even if there isn't proof like for example a document or a video because guess what?
Right.
There are billions of people who believe in religion with no proof. Like they don't
Oh,
have
yeah.
anything but books to tell them that
Right.
this is real, right? You tell those people, oh, by the way, all of your gods are real. They're just from Zeta Reticuli or whatever, or maybe they're from another dimension, and they all, by the way, they're not what you think they are, and your soul, the soul, you're gonna get eaten when you die. Like, that's
Hmm.
not a fun thing to tell people, and it could cause billions of people
Okay,
to,
okay. Let me take this on just a lighter level. Santa Claus, right? When
yeah,
I didn't really want to know that Santa Claus didn't exist. I
right,
wanted to play along, get those Christmas presents, and that magic and the Easter Bunny. I was even more
yeah,
devastated, and the Tooth Fairy, nonetheless. So at some point, like my parent, and I know this is on a different level, but at some point, I figured it out. And it's like, and at some point that ship is sinking and people, do we just continue to feed into their illusion? Or are we like, all right, here, realistically, this could happen.
yeah.
But we could do one or two things. You jump off the side of that ship. Please do one, follow the other. Or the ones that want to stay here, maybe we can find a way out. In the process,
Mm,
like,
yeah.
at least people have a chance or a choice. Because if I sit there and I'm like, oh, I know this train's gonna wreck, but I don't want to tell anybody, then I might have missed that opportunity and how we could have maybe changed the situation for.
I
So
think it's so,
I don't
okay. I don't
buy
know.
into
I don't
it.
know. I
I
think
don't
it's
buy
hard.
into it.
I think it's hard. I think you're right. By the way, I agree with you more than I think than I because I think that I understand why people don't want to tell everyone if
Mm-hmm.
the people that are saying that it's so terrifying. I get why you wouldn't want to, but I believe we have a right to know.
Yes.
I think that there are people who believe, I mean, I think there are people who've been trying to tell us, hey, you have a right to know. They literally say, I think the
Mm-hmm.
American people in the world have a right to know. But I also worry, what does that really mean? Like, what is the truth and what does it really mean for human civilization? If they tell us, and even if they don't tell us, what might be coming or what might, what is whatever the truth is, what might that truth mean to us now and potentially in the life after? Is it really that scary? What if knowing that truth will make you drink yourself to death? And I mean like by the
Mm-hmm.
millions, hundreds of millions. What if knowing that truth will you ever see The Mist, the movie The Mist? Guys, gals, demigods, everything in between. There's a movie called The Mist by M. Night Shyamalan, I think. However you say his name. Judge me. Where there's the government essentially they release they're messing with other dimensions and they crack open a portal into this other dimension and a mist comes out of it and the mist
Yes.
essentially transforms the living organisms on this planet except for humans of course into these giant vile creatures that ravage the earth and ultimately it's such a terrible experience that at the very end I don't want to ruin the movie but let's just say that there is a decision that is made that you wouldn't ever consider, never consider. But it split the viewers up because some people believed that the ending was
Mm-hmm.
evil. Some people believe that the ending was a peaceful resolution.
Mm.
So I don't know. I mean,
I just want to throw it out there though, in Y2K, like I just look at it like this. My grandmother moved into the middle of nowhere in Wisconsin next to a shrine because she was going to survive Y2K and their whole family
yeah,
had gone up there. well, the year 2000, because the computers are gonna crash. Oh, this is gonna happen, and then there's gonna be like these nuclear things and nuclear fallout. And my response was, I'm going out and partying, and if there's nuclear fallout, I will be the first one out there making snow angels. You guys are gonna go up there, and you want to live through the cockroaches coming up. These are the stories you would hear. I mean, as sick as that sounds, like we've gone through one thing like the end of the world event
Yeah.
after another.
Yeah.
So I was like out, and then I got thinking, I was like, I don't think my family even really said goodbye to me. Like they're all up there huddled thinking that they're gonna live to the end of the world, and I'm just out, but partying it up like it's, because it's the year 2000, like 21,
Yeah. Yeah.
out bars, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I was like, man, but they don't even know. It's like China. It's already China gone through. They're okay, but they're just all stuck up there with spam in cans, and it never happened.
Yeah.
It's like, but then now, like when I think that maybe something like this, like 20 years later, everybody's so desensitized, especially like like my mom's generation, the boomers or whatever. They're
Yeah.
like, I'm not doing this again. I said that, because there were so many of those events that it's almost like, okay, the manipulation behind them. I just don't like when somebody, especially like about something with my life, I think it should be maybe on a need to know basis. If you want to know and you want to know the truth, all of us can find it. And I remember when I was first getting into this, so like, the truth, the path to the truth is not going to be easy.
No.
And it's going to be one that you mostly travel alone. Are you sure you want to go down this cryptology and steganography and start doing this? And I was like, yeah, who wouldn't want to know the truth? And I really, there were points in it where I was like, man, I wish I didn't know.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So
all
like,
of this.
yeah, and real quick, I just gotta say, it was Stephen King. I'm sorry, it was not M. Night Shyamalan. Just to get my,
I know what you're
what
talking
do you call it?
about.
Fake news, everyone.
Fake news.
But but the thing is like there was like there was a couple things that you brought up an awesome point in the chat. Thinks it's awesome too, by the way. That there are things that I have learned in life that personally I want to know, but I will not tell, for example, my children, because I feel like they'd be better off not knowing. Listen, imagine telling, there are a lot of dangers in this world, a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
Any one of them can take us all out at any given time. But if I were to
Mm-hmm.
tell my, if I were to tell my children all of the dangers that could happen to them, all the bad things that might happen all the time, they would live in total and complete fear and never experience life, at least as we have experienced it. Even because, again, they could die from a snake bite, they could die from a spider bite, they could die from a virus, they could die from the government deciding to put us all into, they could die from another government invading the world, they could die from a nuclear explosion that could happen if Russia and China decide to go against the US, they could die from a
Right.
number of things. And I'm like, listen, just so you guys all know, these are all the things that can kill us all today. But I want you to go outside and play anyway. They're not going to
You
be
know what
able
I
to do
do?
that. They're going to be stuck thinking about all the things that can kill them.
Safety plans. No, because my son knows. He knows. I'm like, all right, Brody, shooter comes into your school. What does your school tell me to do or tell you to do? Throw pencils, paper. I said, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I was like, you find the door, you negotiate, and
Yeah.
you get yourself out, or you go
A
where everybody's
contingency
running, you
plan.
go the other.
Yeah.
We always have one. We always have one. So I'll be like, I run these scenarios by him. I'll be like, all right, so that shooter comes into school. What hallways do you go down? Where are we going to meet? Like, where, do you go down the hallway that's congested with people running? No. I was like, oh, then you definitely are not going to throw pens and paper and pencil. You're not going to, go out like that at
No,
a
but what,
guy with a gun.
but
Like,
what happens, what happens if what Jim said happens, right? What if, in case you guys are on the radio side and you haven't heard the conversation with us and Jim, but what happens if in 10 minutes, there's this massive earthquake that happens for 10 minutes long that's so bad that it liquefies the entire ground in a 100-mile radius, and all the people that are there don't even have a chance. Like, it's coming, by the way, according to that study, it's coming, whatever, maybe not the, but like a bunch of different cataclysms at once are coming. They don't know when. And the reason why it's not a big deal is because if you tell people again, we're talking about billions of people. Maybe you can handle
right.
it, but I don't think the rest of the world can. I think the rest
What
of
are
the
they
world
gonna
would
do?
be.
What are they gonna do? Stomp us out 10 minutes earlier?
I
You know what I
think
mean?
that
Like
I think
that
more.
10 minutes
I
we
think
could have
more
eaten a
importantly,
cheeseburger or like I don't know, like
I think that
really.
I think that me and you might party till the end, but I think most people would riot in the streets. That's what I think.
What's at the end of the day, 10 minutes, it's not gonna matter. That's what I mean. Like it's like so they're trying to prevent what from ultimately like I just think that there has to be like more of a I'm trying to think of information. Okay, so especially I'll go one more therapy story and I
Yeah.
promise I'll stop. There
No,
was a
it's good.
mom had 4 kids. All right, and I knew that 3 of the kids were being victimized. Like, and I was under supervision, and I went back and forth with all this stuff. Okay, nobody wanted to tell this mom what was really happening to her other 3 children. Guess who did? I did. And I was like, brought her in, and the response was not one you may think you'd probably get. I had to go down and, worked a lot with DHS. And I said that I did not believe that these other siblings, it was in their best interest to be around this other child. And those kids were yanked out of therapy so quickly from me because the mom didn't like what I had to say, even though. So I went and I gave her the truth to keep her children safe. And at the end of the day, I was the bad guy. So that right there always makes me like think about it. So I don't have a problem
Mm.
in doing
Yeah,
that. And
per
I
se.
always say, like I had a lady one time and like her there, like she'd sit there with her eyes closed and she wouldn't respond. And I'd be like, okay, I know she hears me. Okay. I know you hear me. If you do not respond, I'm going to have to call and get you medical attention. So you need
Yeah,
to
yeah,
so
yeah.
these are the games I play back. I was brutal when it came to like stuff like that. I didn't let him around stuff because she like intentionally, I'm like, I know you don't want to hear this, but if I play along with that fantasy, it's only going to allow that sickness to carry on longer. So, or that pathology. So I look at it like that, like we've come to a point in society where we're feeding these illusions and pretending like meowing and there's no damn cat that just walked by me. That's a kid. And I'll tell like my son was like stuff like that. And he's like, they think they're cats. And I said, they can think what they want. I think that I should have been an Egyptian princess and live. And
Yeah, yeah.
does that mean that everybody should roll out the red carpet for me? That'd be great. That'd be great, but it doesn't happen.
No.
It's an illusion.
Yeah.
So that's a part
No,
of it where I really toss with.
I think we're gonna and just so everybody knows we're gonna have to continue this conversation for next time
Absolutely.
because I think this is a great debate and I honestly I think that I probably will I feel like I kind of lose in a sense because even I agree with you over myself. I think that I think the truth is
Get
better
over
than I think
it.
the truth is even if it's devastating, especially if it means the end of us all. I think
Is
it's
it
a
harder
better
to tell or is it harder to hear?
harder to hear. Oh, that's a oh crap. I don't know. Everyone in the chat, our last question of the night for all of you listening on radio and live is the truth, and we're talking a hard pill to swallow. Is it harder to tell, meaning you're the one that's telling the truth to the people, or is it hard to hear, meaning you're the people hearing the truth? And with that, Coley, I'm going to say goodnight to everyone. Thank you all for listening. This is, of course, again, the Coley
Yes.
and Marquis Show. This is our first episode. It wasn't a total disaster, by the way. It was a total success, in my opinion.
No,
And
yes.
even though we had some technical issues, it was a success. I'm happy we did it.
It was.
So we'll
Me
all talk to you
too.
guys
Yes.
later. Stay
And
tuned for
we
next
got
week.
some fun. Yeah,
We got some
exciting
fun.
things coming. Yeah. Just
So
stay
many
tuned.
things. So stay tuned, everybody. We'll catch
Mhm.
y'all on the next side of the broadcast. Until then, we love you, and we hope to see you soon. Peace.
Peace.